been forthcoming. So because of the lack of transparency, I suppose it's very difficult for our members and Forza to have any kind of trust in discussions.
In previous statements, Donegal Education Centre management say a comprehensive consultation took place, and that was with staff across the county ahead of the decision to relocate services. Heathrow says it's expecting significant delays will last for a number of days. The airport has been closed until midnight at least after a fire at a nearby electrical substation caused a power outage. At least 1,300 flights were due to depart and land at the airport today, all of which were cancelled. Reporter Claire Bode is at the scene of the fire in West London.
The first thing you notice before you even see the smoke here is the smell of the smoke. It's very thick. It's almost as if it's like a bonfire. And there's also a haze just covering the area. And from where I'm stood, I can still see the smoke rising from the site. Now, London Fire Brigade says 70 firefighters have been tackling this fire since it broke out around 11:30 last night, but the cause of the blaze is still unknown.
All flights to and from Dublin, Shannon, Cork and Knock airports to London Heathrow have been cancelled today. Police in Strabane and Derry have launched 2 separate appeals for missing persons. Tara Duggan reports.
21-year-old Lamar Manson McBrien has been missing since Thursday, March 13th. He was last seen in the John Street area of Derry city centre. Lamar is of slim build and approximately 5'4" tall. Meanwhile, Alan McFarland is missing from the Strabane area. He's described as being 5'10" tall with grey, balding hair and is clean shaven. He was last believed to be wearing a black jumper, black trousers and brown boots. Images of the individuals can be viewed on the Highland Radio website. Anyone with information on their whereabouts is asked to contact the police on 101.
Looking now to weather, this morning will be mainly dry and mostly cloudy. In the late afternoon and early evening, rain will spread westwards across the region and will continue through the evening. At times there will be a few heavy or thundery downpours. Highest temperatures of 13 to 14 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back again at 10 o'clock.
Throbbing headache, toothache, backache, period pain. No one pain is the same. But for all those everyday pains, there's a moment when you start to feel release. That moment when you start to get back to being you. And you feels amazing. Panadol Extra film-coated tablets. Powerful pain relief. Release starts here. Contains paracetamol. Always read the label, leaflet.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. It is, of course, Friday the 21st of March, and we've got a packed show as always on a Friday. In fact, you could say the same for every day, couldn't you? Coming up on the programme, we will have our Friday panel. I'll introduce them to you very, very shortly. We also have That's Entertainment. Fionnuala Rabbit is back after her short break off, so it's going to be good to have her and Michael back together, and there's so much more besides in between. We want you involved in the conversation though, of course, throughout the day. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. And if you're working in the home or from home, or have access to a smart TV or a smart TV with a Fire Stick, watch us on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, and you can also watch us on our other social media platforms, Facebook and X. Let's say good morning to Grania Hines, member of Letterkenny Active Retirement. Good morning to you, Grania. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. And good morning, listeners. Yes, very good.
To see you.
Enjoying the lovely weather.
I must say you've got a beautiful background as well. Very nice. We also have Reverend Mark Lockridge, pastor at New Life Fellowship and the Reformed Presbyterian Church. Good morning to you, Mark. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg. Great to be on again. Thank you.
And we have with us also Paddy Rooney, who is chair of Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital. How are you, Paddy?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. I'm very good. Great to see all of you. Quite a bit to get through. A retired Letterkenny pastor is facing court for holding an open-air Sunday service close to an abortion clinic at the Causeway Hospital in Derry in 2023. New legislation established safe access zones at hospitals in Northern Ireland, preventing protesters or demonstrators from gathering within 100 metres of hospital buildings. I believe similar measures were introduced in the Republic last year. I'll start with you on this one, Reverend, if that's okay. Do you support these safe access zones, or do you believe people should have the right to peacefully protest, demonstrate, express their views?
Yeah, thanks for coming to me in this one to start with, Greg. If I could go back to Wednesday's programme, there was a fantastic interview with Brian Gillespie, a choreographer, and he received a special award from the Special Olympics for work done there, and he spoke so eloquently about even his own family circumstances and having an aunt with Down syndrome, and how at the Special Olympics Ireland is greatly remembered for its the Special Olympics that it hosted. And I think one of the things that struck me about that was there's a correlation. One of the reasons that Ireland hosted the Special Olympics so well is that we are familiar with having people in our midst with all sorts of special needs. And one of the consequences of bringing in abortion legislation is that we will find across, like it's happened across Europe, people with special needs and different life-limiting circumstances will be removed from our experience, and that will radically change us as a society. And so one of the things that concerns me about the so-called exclusion zones or safe access zones is that they're preventing not simply protest, but in particular help being offered. I think that's one of the key things that's being.
Is that not a bit patronising, though, Reverend? In that, is it not the case that people don't make decisions willy-nilly? And of course, you've picked a potential very emotive area for this argument. There's many others. I could do the exact same on the flip side. A father sexually abusing a daughter. You know what I mean? If we wanted to go down that route, we certainly could. But
I think, Greg, to answer your question, one of the things that we know from the stats is that there are a significant number. There's a very small proportion are those very difficult cases like you've alluded to, but there's a very significant number of people who find themselves in a circumstance where finance is a major consideration or a lack of support. I was looking at figures this morning, certainly from the UK, it's 57% is where finance is a major factor in them seeking an abortion. And so one of the things that certainly I think should be done by groups, pro-life groups, like I'm involved with, is the offering of help and helping people to see that help is available.
So say you engage with someone who you believe is about to go and have an abortion, and they could be part of that 57% cohort. Maybe they're living at home, they've got no accommodation of their own, they've got no means to buy the pram and all that kind of stuff. I'm not defending it, by the way, but we have to have a conversation, right? So I have to take this position. Well, what in reality, what are you going to offer them, and where are you going to be with them in a year's time?
Exactly.
Well, one of the things that Donegal Pro-Life have been doing over the years is providing this sort of help.
Well,
this isn't something that's come.
So how much money then, Reverend, are you providing to young mothers?
Well, I don't know the figures. I'm not involved at that end of things. But just because we've queries about the figures doesn't mean that the possibility of providing help shouldn't be allowed
no, but is
or
it
granted.
Like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000?
I have no idea. Maybe some of the Donegal Pro-Life people who've been involved in the practical end will be able to come on later on and speak to that.
But you are of the view there is financial support for women to consider to keep their
well, this is one of the things that we need to be doing better, is providing better options for people so that they can not make decisions based on.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Grania Hines, as you heard from the referent there, he's opposed to people being allowed to be within 100 metres of these abortion clinics. I don't know what there probably is a different name for them. Well,
there are two issues here. One is they're breaking the law. That's the first thing. And like any other person or group, they have to be called up on this. And the second thing is, I think there is no man who can take or judge on this issue, because a woman's body is her own business. She knows exactly how she can cope with her life. She knows what can happen afterwards when she has the baby. I'm here a long time, and I know there were lots of groups in the 60s and 70s who were anti-abortion and were supporting girls to have their babies, which was all very nice and fine. But once that baby was born, that baby needs support for 18 years. It doesn't need support for 5,000, 10,000, or 1 year even. They need support for their whole lifetime, because the problems that the mother has and the reason she has agreed to have that baby are very noble. She knows that perhaps she can't cope, but she has the baby. Also, the reasons for not having a baby and having an abortion are enormous, and nobody can know the trauma that people go through to have an abortion.
But is it possible,
it is a decision which absolutely devastates them.
But I'm not disputing that, Grania, and again, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here to tease out all elements of the argument. But I mean, the reference quoted statistics there, which would indicate that, not to put too fine a point on it, that a lot of abortions, the majority maybe, are for lifestyle reasons and aren't for, fatal fetal abnormalities, incidences of rape or incest, or even,
and I think Greg, would be very few and far between. People have their reasons. And I don't think that particularly men can sit in judgment of what a woman is going to do with her body and her baby. Now, there's one other point I'd like to make on the church's side. We all know that when do you think the soul enters a baby? Because I think to this day, it is believed that when a baby was born, until it's baptized, it doesn't have a soul.
Mm. That's a fascinating question.
When biologically, can you tell me when you think that this...
Well, it's kind of I suppose in terms of your belief system and what a woman chooses to do, it's a very important question, really, because are you eliminating life or preventing life?
Well, what you're doing is you're sitting in judgment of what a very personal thing. And I don't think anybody should judge, or anybody should say they should or they shouldn't. That is up to the person. And they go through a lot of counselling, a lot of them, and they are devastated. They don't do this.
I'll come back to you because I think there's far more in this conversation. Paddy Rooney, good morning again. What's your view in relation to this?
Well, I suppose literally every jurisdiction, particularly in the Western world, that has legalized the termination of pregnancies under restricted rules or whatever, once they've introduced it was legalized. Subsequently, then they had to put these exclusion zones in place. We have it in Ireland, we have it in the UK, we have it in the United States. And things, I suppose it started in the United States because things got bent out of shape very, very quickly when people were being photographed and attacked and assaulted. And there was one or two people, I think, in Texas was actually doctors where they even murdered over this. Now, I know that's not what's happened in Causeway here, but whatever about the merits and the morals of terminations of pregnancy, I think that the staff that work in these clinics, whether they are clinical, clerical admin or support staff, they have the right to go to work, Greg, and they don't, it's not necessary for them to walk through some kind of a gauntlet of people. They may be protesting very peacefully, and they may be just praying and so on and so forth. And young women who find themselves in the fortunate position that they have to use this service, they have to go through that as well. I mean, how would you fancy, Greg, if there was a prayer group outside of the main door of Highland Radio there that were praying or doing whatever they were doing because it's some editorial decision that you made in the programme? You wouldn't like that. I think that staff have the right to go to work without being, faced with this kind of, and I'm going to call it intimidation. It seems a bit of a strong word just when people are praying outside. because everybody now is carrying a camera with them, Greg, and people are taking photographs of people who are either working in these departments or else that are using the service, and God only knows where those photographs are going to end up. If people have an issue with the law, as Grania mentioned, it is the law. An overwhelming majority of the Irish people voted for this, so it is the law. If people have an issue with this, go to where the law was made, and that's Leinster House, and leave the clinics alone. We had this
I think, Greg, if I can go
outside of Letterkenny University Hospital
bring you back in a sec,
many years ago with the introduction of vasectomy clinics, and also with tubal ligation, because there was a big issue about contraception at the time. Now they don't place anymore. But if people have the right to protest, and I accept that, but go to Leinster House where the law was created, and you know, don't be intimidating or harassing. I know they're very strong words to use. People who
at the same facility, Auschwitz-styled signs were put outside, and baby death camps and what have you. So, I mean, obviously, some of it's softly, right? But there's all this site has also been the scene of that stuff. Mark, Reverend, you wanted to come back in there.
Yes, thank you for bringing me back in. Just to say, I think the words like intimidation and harassment are grotesquely out of place.
But Reverend, come on, Reverend, I know you're a very intelligent person, okay? But if there is, so you know for a fact, right? And I don't think anyone could honestly dispute that if you were going into your place of work and people were standing there peacefully praying, even holding signs, you would feel intimidated. Now, whether that's the intent of the demonstrators or the protesters, you can't reject the fact that that's going to be a product of it.
Well, I think whenever the signs say things like "help available," "we are here for you," I think those sorts of signs. I think the closer you come to a clinic, the more in favour I am of
where's that
help signs being offered.
I spend hours every single day here, and this is by no means suggesting that these young people shouldn't exist. But I spend every day almost in this seat talking. I spoke to a woman this morning whose son is wheelchair bound. Okay, and the state promised €3.6 million so that child would get physio and speech and language. There are thousands of children around this county that can't access those basic facilities. There's kids that can't get operations for scoliosis. There's massive waiting lists for people with hearing impairments, kids with hearing impairments, and yet you're suggesting there's a group of people that turn up outside abortion clinics that are going to support families to have babies and throughout their upbringing.
Well, I think.
Why don't you support all the other kids that are here then?
Well, because there's something fundamentally wrong. If the question was asked earlier, when does life begin? I believe life begins at the moment of conception. It's irrelevant when the soul enters the body, and that is a theological point. But life begins at conception. That's when people get excited. They don't get excited about the potential of having a baby.
But with respect,
they don't get
Reverend,
excited.
We're returning to the we're returning a little bit to, and it's fine, but we're returning to the pre-decision making.
That's right, but the question
is not
was
about
asked,
I know, but you're talking about whether we should have abortion or not. We do. Whether we like it or not, it was the democratic will of the people. Why can't then people exercise their democratic rights, and why can't staff go without fear of intimidation into work?
Well, I think people can exercise their democratic right, but people also exercise their democratic right before to protest to bring in abortion. So that also happens. So you can't have your cake and eat it. It has to be both ways. And if people are convinced.
Okay, well, listen, I want to hear all your views. I'll come back to you, Reverend. Paddy, what did you want to come in on there?
We're getting into the realms now of the conversation here about the merits or the morals of
abortion itself,
pregnancy termination, which is a different thing. I support the right of people to peaceful protest, but why don't the people that Marcus is advocating for there, why don't they protest outside of the offices of TDs and senators who voted for this legislation?
Because they're offering help.
Why don't they protest outside of Leinster House? Why do they have to do it in clinical areas?
Because they hope to intervene in at least one instance and offer help and support to a mother to not make that decision. That's
well, if
what
they want to
the
do
reference
that,
going to keep going back to that.
but
that point.
if they want to do that, I mean, why don't they take out ads continuously on your own program on Highland Radio, offering support, or have an extensive social media campaign, or have somebody down at the square in Letterkenny with a loud hailer or something? Why does it have to be done at a place where people have to run the gauntlet when they're on their
Reverend,
way to work?
answer that question. It's a direct question. Why not try and reach
question.
people elsewhere? Why do it there in their face?
I think the details do happen elsewhere. These things are publicised. But one of the places where it's also needed, it's not the only place that it's needed, is where people are going to access these services and to provide help and hope for them in that.
What would you feel, and maybe you have no issue with it, if there was a sort of ever-present group of Jehovah's Witnesses, for an example, outside Letterkenny University Hospital? I know you're smiling, but it's some would say it's kind of the same thing. Objecting outside the ED, saying don't take a blood transfusion, and talking of the potential religious consequences of it. You could go to hell. It's the wrong thing to do. And they were there outside the ED in Letterkenny University Hospital all the time, praying and holding banners and trying to suggest that maybe don't go into the ED, come with us and we'll give you some sort of an alternative to a blood transfusion. Do you believe they would have the right to do that?
I think there's...
Well, just a direct question, Reverend.
Yeah, no, sorry, I thought...
No, I'll put it to you, Reverend.
Yep. No, there's a difference between the right to protest and whether a protest is right, scientifically right, morally right. And so at one level,
but
people
none
have
of
the
us
right
are
to
doctors.
protest.
Yeah, but
people
Reverend, none
right
of us
to
are doctors.
protest.
We are actually on about moral stuff here because we're on about religion, belief, and morals. Yeah. You're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
No, so that's right. So there's a right to protest.
Would the Jehovah's Witnesses have that right?
They would have that right too, wouldn't they? Yes.
Okay.
We don't want to get into the area of policing every possible thought, and that's actually to go back to what we're looking at here in the Causeway Coast and Coleraine. Clive Johnson wasn't actually mentioning abortion, dealing with abortion. He was preaching a sermon on one of the most famous verses in the Bible, John 3:16.
So he wasn't.
For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son.
So he wasn't.
Whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. So he actually wasn't offering. He wasn't actually offering financial support or alternatives then.
Not on that occasion.
Okay. I thought you said that was one of the justifications for these.
No, that's the justification I would have in general to the principle of pro-life people being there and safe zones being unjust and overreach.
Grania, I believe you wanted to come back in there.
Yes, I do. I just think this is very judgmental of the people who are taking up with the service. And I agree with Paddy, like everybody who goes in for any type of medical help is nervous. They don't know what's going to happen. Those young people going in, older people going in, they don't know if they'll come out. And as a woman, we know the dangers. The most dangerous time in your life is having a baby. Mm-hmm. So the most dangerous time in your life is probably also having an abortion. And I mean, the people mull it over, and they're desperate. They do it for certain reasons. And who are we to judge? Particularly if you're a male, who are you to judge?
Well, that statement in itself is a judgment.
It is a judgment because these people outside are judging them.
Your statement is a judgment
there because they think these people are doing something wrong.
I think
doing anything wrong. They are not guilty of anything.
Yeah.
And it is against the law as well. And you have no right to break the law.
I think Paddy's made an important point too that I wouldn't mind reiterating too, that there's kind of two things being conflated really here in that, I mean, obviously we could have another debate about, what people voted on in terms of the introduction of abortion into this country. And then obviously, changes that are made to that. Some people might not be comfortable with that. And then this issue of abortion is legal north and south, and yet people are encroaching in on these safe zones. They feel like they are two separate things. But Reverend, obviously, it's not surprisingly you see them as one in the same. But I think Paddy
not quite one and the same. But I suppose the initial question was framed in terms of the safe zones, and was there a place for them? And because we believe the nature of what abortion is and what a child in the womb is, and the inherent value of every human being.
I have people.
They do.
I have, as we all do, have families with Down syndrome children in them, and I'm trying not to get really offended by you suggesting that their mums or dads would have actually opted for an abortion, to be honest with you.
The statistical reality.
But I'm talking about the lived reality.
No, the statistical reality, the lived reality is across Europe, many countries have an almost minuscule number of live Down syndrome births, which is utterly tragic. It is utterly tragic. I know a friend of mine who lives here in Ireland, who, whenever her child was diagnosed with Down syndrome before birth, the doctors offered a termination. And the pressure on that poor girl was enormous.
Right. Again,
that's the lived reality.
That's down to the actual abortion debate as opposed to maybe the safe zones debate. Paddy, I just want to bring you in.
You see, the other thing is this isn't. See, I'm getting into the realms now about the morals of termination.
That's what I was trying to differentiate.
One would get the impression that this was a brand new service that was available in Ireland. And of course, we've had terminations of pregnancies going on for Irish women, but outside of the jurisdiction for the last 80 years. I mean, the Rape Crisis Centre and other women's supports groups say that there's in excess of 5,000 terminations of pregnancy be done in England every year. And of course, that number is probably a gross underestimation. And only women who were in a position that either had the supports or the money available were able to do that. But women in the lower socioeconomic groups who didn't have the money and who didn't have the support, they had to go through with their pregnancy. And, if people find themselves, women who find themselves in a pregnancy that is either a fatal fetal abnormality or whatever, and it is the law now, Greg, and if alternative groups want to put forward supports, I mean, they need to say what the supports are, because women in the find themselves in this position need a choice, and at the moment they don't have a choice.
Okay, and just before the break, Reverend, as I said a little earlier on, we talk about and platform an awful lot on this show, and it's not unique to this show, the plight of mums and dads in getting supports and services for their children, fundraising for organisations that don't get any state funding, all that type of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, one voice that seems to be absent in supporting these families and these children is the church. I would love to see the church actually advocate on what's here and now, and sort of use the strong voice and platform to scream from the pulpit, enough is enough. There's hundreds of and thousands of kids across Donegal, Derry, Strabane who can't get access to the most basic services, that are not developing as they should because those services are there. And where is the voice and the strength and the lobbying from the church? And I'm not anti-church, by the way. Let me be very, very clear on that. But that doesn't mean you can't be critical at times. Where is the support from the likes of yourself and others within whatever church it might be for these families? I don't hear it. I don't hear it at all. But apparently there are supports available there if you are potentially going to have a baby.
Yeah, there are supports, but they're very minimal supports. They forget that the child has to be a child until they're 18. They forget about all the support they need throughout their whole lives.
Okay, but I want to just put that
initially, some of them, but that's
but just before the break, I want to put that directly to the Reverend. Where is the church's voice in the day-to-day crises that are facing families up, down, left and right across our region?
Yeah, it's a good question, a fair question, and the church should be speaking out on those. There are things that are fundamentally unjust and an embarrassment to a developed society. But where is the church often in this? We're in the cold face with the people in our congregations, helping them. I've a child in my congregation with Down syndrome.
I know. That's after the
wheelchair.
fact. I'm after the fact. I'm on about in terms of I understand what you're saying, Reverend, but where is the church's voice? Where is your voice? Where's the other very strong voices to call on the powers that be to say, right, we're dealing with these people at the coalface here, but they should have far better situations. You should be doing far better for these children.
Well, I think that if you do find the church is speaking out on some of these issues,
okay. I just haven't heard it then, so my apologies. I just simply haven't heard that at all. Thank you very much, Reverend. We've loads more to come from Reverend Mark Lockridge, Grania Hines and Paddy Rooney, and your comments coming in. I'll get to a few of those as we move on to our next topic, but first we do have to take a quick break. Please stay right where you are.
Did you know National Lottery players raise €4 million for good causes every week? Like Hand in Hand, where National Lottery Good Causes funding has helped them support more families of young people with cancer by providing essential relief, like household cleaning, laundry services, and family meal deliveries. Saving time for what matters most. You make this possible. And with entries now open for the Good Causes Awards 2025, you can build on the fantastic work you do in your community. Visit lottery.ie to apply. The National Lottery. Support responsibly. Average weekly figures based on 2023 financials.
What do you say to boring lunches? Focaccia! With Centra's new focaccia sandwich range, you get the toastiest, tastiest focaccia bread. Then choose from high-protein chicken with Frank's Red Hot sauce, delicious caprese melt, and more. And they're only €6.50. Focaccia! Centra. Live every day.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 91 26688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Remember a loved one with a personalised memorial, acknowledgement or wallet cards from BizPrint using your choice of wording and background. Call in and speak to Catherine at BizPrint, Port Road, Letterkenny, or call 91 779 55.
Running a business isn't easy, but accessing support should be. The new National Enterprise Hub is the single source for all government support for your business. With over 180 supports in one place, it's easier than ever to find grants, advice, training and more. And don't worry about not knowing what you need. Our helpful team will guide you every step of the way. Visit neh.gov.ie to learn how we can help. The National Enterprise Hub. Support starts here, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
9:33, turning 9:34, and lots of people agreeing, disagreeing. Greg is very complacent about the democratic will of the people when it is clear US aid funded and media and social media colluded to deceive the Irish electorate about the extreme abortion on demand regime that people were voting in. Another, I'd like to see people praying outside health centres and doctors. Abortion has to be judged by the two people involved and not anyone else. What are these protesters doing on a daily basis to help the parents who chose to parent alone? I've always thought their time could be better spent in actual help instead of judgment. I lived in a 10-storey apartment block in London. There was a young lady, 18, who died as a result of not being allowed a blood transfusion as she was a Jehovah's Witness. This lady pleaded for her life. Not everything can be up to God. Abortion never leaves a mother. Don't care what people say. They might try to justify it in their head, but their life will never be the same. Grania, you said that. I don't think women need to be educated in that regard, do they?
Yes, I think a lot of women, it's not that they regret doing it, but they're sad that they had to do it.
Okay. I have seen protesters at LUH protesting, but they are yards away from the gates, and that is their right. They're creating awareness of what's happening, but this country took a vote and the majority won, and that's it. But of course, someone else is of the view that vote may have been influenced externally. Abortion is not a moral issue. It's a woman's right to make a decision about her body and her life, no one else's. Another, in Ireland, staff have a right to refuse to work in the departments who carry out abortions. And another, Paddy's right, go to where the decisions are made, not the hospitals. Okay, thanks very much for all of your comments on that so far. Listeners this week have been reporting record high electricity bills to us all week, in fact. This in the same week that the ESB's published its profits for last year. They made €706 million after tax last year, bringing their tax profits for just the last 2 years, the after-tax profits just for the last 2 years, to over 1.6 billion, or almost 1.6 billion. The government has ruled out one-off cost of living payments, but Sinn Féin say they should continue. With all that being said, do you think those profits are justifiable while people struggle? Or is that money needed to invest in infrastructure? Because the ESB say they leverage it 3-1 to try and improve infrastructure. So to use a phrase used by the Reverend a little earlier on, can we have our cake and eat it? What's your view, Paddy Rooney?
This is a classic case, I suppose, of government intervention in the marketplace. And any money that the government is giving to people up and down the country to help them with their energy bills is going to go straight to the supplier, electricity or the ESB or whatever. I mean, this is something very similar to what the government do to provide support to first-time house buyers. You know, they give them the first-time grant or the shared equity or all of this kind of stuff. But the problem with all of that kind of stuff is that it actually brings more people into the marketplace, but it drives the price up. And I don't know how many extra people can actually afford to buy a house over this, and the money goes straight to the pocket of the developer. We had a situation there during the week. I think there was a spokesperson for the Restaurants Association to say that they were going to put a minimum charge on the price of steak of €50 because of the production costs. And I think there was a speaker on from the Irish Creamery Milk Suppliers Association to say the cost of food in this country was going to go up because the cost of production had gone up. So where is all this going to end? So it's energy prices today, but it'll be something else tomorrow. If the government decide that they're going to change their mind and do something with this, for heaven's sake, Greg, they should at least target it. Because whether you're getting 20 grand a year or you're getting 200 grand a year, you got the energy supports grants. I mean, it's something akin to the attitude towards children's allowance in this country, and also towards the scheme that was flouted in the election. I don't know, did it ever come to pass, about the €1,000 for the newborn babies and the savings scheme and so on and so forth. All of that is only suiting or accommodating people who are well off in the first place, but people on small incomes and the lower socioeconomic groups can't afford that.
Why do you think Paddy, it seems the majority of people would favour targeted supports, and we know who the people struggling are, because you know the systems are there already. Why is there a resistance for? Do you believe? Because it would save money. We wouldn't be talking 400 million a pop, right? But we would genuinely know in our hearts that whilst and there's always going to be the squeezed middle, right, that are going to feel left out, but we would know that those that need it most are getting the supports, and we wouldn't feel as bad about throwing cash into the bank of the ESB, etc. Why do you think there is a resistance in this area to targeted supports?
I think because there might be a couple of things. One, because the government feel, or they know, that they're not going to be able to do this on a consistent level going forward, because they're not sure what the state of finances in the country are going to be. And secondly, I suppose because there was a lot of criticism the last time because of the fact that it was universal rather than targeted. And all of the social welfare increases I was reading in Irish Independent this morning was a lot of the increases that we're getting, either the pay increases as part of the national wage agreement or the increases that we're getting to social welfare payments. They've literally been all wiped away now, Greg, with inflation. So I suppose the government feel that they're not going to be able to keep on top of this. But there is an easy way out of this. I mean, one of the arguments put forward by the government is, if they want to target something, that it costs too much money to target. The easy way out of that is that people that are on welfare, give them income supplement, or people that are on a low income, give them built-in income supplement to deal with this. Because one of the things that no government in any jurisdiction is able to do is to able to get on top of inflation. Because once they try to do this, all they do actually is they put petrol onto the fire, and they actually make things worse.
That is the reality of actually the way the financial systems work, isn't it? You do need to squeeze people to the point where they can't afford to buy cars, or they can't afford to do this, that and that. The rich will always be able to do so, but you keep inflation down by making people not spend as much money effectively. Grania, I mean, our electricity prices here are 52% above the EU average. That sticks in a lot of people's throats because,
yes,
I
think that definitely needs to be tackled. I mean, I already had a letter myself saying that my electricity is going to go up by 12% in April. And I immediately went out and bought an air fryer, which I had been deciding because I use my oven all the time.
Well, Grania, that was the best decision you're going to make this year. Whether prices are going up, down, left or right, woman, that is brilliant.
Yeah, so I decided, the only trouble is the signs on it are so small, and for anybody who has bad eyesight like myself, it's very difficult. I have to make a map of it and know where to tip.
Listen, forget all the buttons. Forget all the buttons. The bottom line is 180, 15 minutes.
Just leave it at 118 and 15. Yeah, I've learned
180 and 15. That's it,
But
Grania.
seriously, I think everybody who has a low income should be targeted. It shouldn't be universal. I agree with that. I think people who earn over, say, 80, 90,000 shouldn't get it. But you see, that's difficult, and it costs money to implement almost as much as the subsidy. So it is a difficulty, but I think it is something we have to look at, our energy, because I also think that companies' profit should be, set at a certain amount. Maybe they could have, every company has to make money, otherwise they're not going to put an effort into it, they're not going to try and improve it. And it's very important that it's reinvested. So much, there should be a percentage that is legally, they have to reinvest, and then perhaps 20-25% profit allowed. But anything over than that really should be back to the government in some way or another.
And I mean, but the government does draw a ton of tax from the ESB, from the electricity market, and I think they got a dividend this year. They got one in excess of 200 million last year, 220 I think, and this year 180. So as a major shareholder in the ESB. Reverend Mark Lockridge, sorry for coming to you last on this subject, but you talked about the coalface earlier on. You'd know very well, I'm sure, like we all do, that there is a lot of people very, very having it very, very tough at the moment, and often don't really have a platform to talk about how tough their lives are, how difficult it is to either heat or eat, because often they can't do both.
Yes, that's exactly it, and it's been fascinating to hear the input of both Grania and Patrick, and it's those figures of 52% higher than the rest of Europe. What is the justification? I think there is a moral responsibility on corporations and businesses to not simply to have them look after their shareholders, but to look after their customers. Although whenever you start to try and divide out their 1.5 billion across 2 years across each household, it doesn't really reduce the bills massively much. I think it's if you divide it out, a 200 drop a year doesn't go very far. That would use up about a third of their profits. So I just think that there needs to be a wider look at all of this, and the increased cost of living across the board. It's just things are rocketing, and it's hard for people to cope, and they despair, and that's just difficult to manage.
Yeah, but we see...
Greg, if you don't mind here,
of course, Paddy.
This says something about the effectiveness of government. ESB is actually a semi-state body, so they're operating on the basis of the rules of a private commercial company, but at the same time, somewhere in the bureaucratic lines, they're answerable to some government minister. I don't know who that person is. But I wonder, is there ever an exchange of conversation between the chief executive of the ESB and the government minister involved to set out the justification for these costs? I mean, the figure put forward by Grania there is eye-popping to say about the cost of it, and to give some a justification about the cost of energy. Why is it so high? I accept the fact that the ESB
no one's been able to answer
because they have to put it back into this.
Yeah, but no one's explained why we're 52% higher than. Is it profits? Is it the cost of? No one's explained that, and it's not privatization, because there are other countries that privatized and they're much lower than us. It's not. So it's the gap isn't between state-run power companies and privatisations across the EU, that's all changed. So why won't anyone explain to us why our power is 52% more expensive? And yet a third of it's coming from wind, we're told, and solar.
Yeah, I find it an extraordinary thing anyway that we never have a government minister standing up in Dáil Éireann to explain this. I mean, surely it can't have anything got to do with the fact that we're an island off the west coast of Europe, and to give us some kind of a justification why the cost of it is so high. I mean, I suspect that some of this has got to do with the fact that we have a cartel going here because the ESB own the infrastructure, and there are other companies then like electricity and so on and so forth who are in the market as well. But the numbers of suppliers are very, very small. Because if you talk about, you're an advocate yourself in your program, I often hear you talking about shopping around for things like
do
your
it with electricity.
mobile phone, all of the stuff. And you will do it.
Yeah, but I couldn't do it with electricity.
And
there was
Mary have done it as well,
there was no saving with electricity, Paddy. I couldn't do it.
There's no saving with electricity. I was going to make that point. They're all so similar here. So you nearly get the impression here, because it is such a vital service and a vital commodity that people have after the recent storm there, when people lost their electricity for a few days. They've seen how discommoded they were. They were willing to pay anything for the power just to get it back. I suspect some of this has got to do with the so few suppliers in the marketplace, Greg, and cartel operating here.
Grania?
Yeah, could I also say, now I know people disagree with this, and as a scientist, I agree with it, because I think we will have to look at nuclear power for electricity, for energy. We already import some from France. So I don't know what I mean, I know it's a big step to take, but the way it's going at the moment, as Paddy said, with all the cartels, and no matter how often you change, as you advise us to do, Greg, after a year, you're back looking for another deal.
I did read something on the practicalities of creating a nuclear plant and the benefits of it, and the ins and outs of it. And it as I say, I'm working from a distant memory here, Granny, that it wouldn't have been, it's not practical for our island, the size of the island, the access to water that you need and all that type of stuff. But again, I'm not a scientist. But
but the modern technology they have and the advance in different issues have been solved a lot. Okay. And I think really, I can't see us like the wind, to produce the wind energy, and that is not cheap.
Okay, listen, I'll be back. Well, it should be cheap, but they're guaranteed the same payment per watt they produce as gas. We decided to do that. That was a choice. All right, because once it's built, it's actually really quite cheap to produce. Stay where you are. That's the voice of Grania Hines. We also have Paddy Rooney and the Reverend Mark Lockridge. More from them and you after these.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Hall Lifford. From garden furniture to kitchens, sofas and dining sets, all under one roof. Need a new mattress? Why not visit our sleep centre on the first floor, with a large range of quality beds and mattresses in stock and ready for collection or delivery. Relax in our coffee shop, serving hot lunches daily. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Hall Lifford.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybofey are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybofey for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
Looking for fresh, local, convenient shopping? Mabel Stores has you covered across Donegal. From apples to AdBlue, we have everything you need whenever you need it. Calling all little artists. Our Easter colouring competition is now open. Pick up a colouring sheet in your local Mabel store and return it by April 17th for your chance to win fantastic prizes. See you in store for more. Don't forget to follow your local Mabel store on Facebook for weekly offers. Oh, and we also sell fuel too. Mabel Stores. Fresh, convenient, local.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €200 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Explore jewels of history. Experience legendary events and the terror of battle. From the castles of the nobility to the huts of the poor, visit the tombs of kings and monasteries of the saints, conserved, protected and shared by the Office of Public Works. From Dunangasa and Tara in the east to Carlingford Castle and Derrynane in the south. Visit your local heritage site and come with us over the threshold of history. Plan your next visit on heritageireland.ie, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Discover the new Nissan range at iMotors. If it's design you're after, stand out from the crowd with the next generation Nissan Juke. Available in both petrol and hybrid. The Nissan Qashqai is available as a petrol or e-power hybrid, giving you that electric feel without plugging in. Need more space? The Nissan X-Trail offers 7 seats and comes as an e-power hybrid. And for those ready to go green, the Nissan Ariya and Leaf are fully electric. Available now for a test drive. Just call into our showroom in Letterkenny or Malin today.
iMotors, fearless generation.
When it's time for confirmation or first communion, it's time for a trip to Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Choose from a great selection of top label, casual and formal wear. Suits with matching shirts and ties. Blazers, jackets and shirts. Also denims, chinos and footwear from big names like Diesel, Cavani and Tommy Bow. Stand out on the big day at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny. And online at watsonmenswear.com.
Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny. Award-winning travel experts. Sail the Sicilian coastline. Dive the Maldives. Tour Riacan and Tuscan vineyards. Stroll the shores of Lake Garda or the streets of Santorini. Indulge the senses. Savor new flavors. Embrace warm welcomes, smiling faces and balmy sunsets. Escape with atlantictravel.ie. Book today.
Enjoy real savings this week at Super Value. Like Super Value Fresh Irish Pork Loin Roast, now half price. Super Value Fresh Irish Eye of the Round, now save 33%. Until Sunday, scan your card or app and get selected medium Easter eggs, now 5 for €5. And Pampers selected range, now 3 for €30. Make real savings every week at Super Value. Customer quotas apply.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, look at the weather forecast and a big change from today. But this morning mainly dry, mostly cloudy. Late afternoon and early evening rain will spread eastwards across the region and will continue through the evening. A caller says the Reverend is right. Unfortunately, life has changed so much now that no one cares anymore. Life is lived in the fast lane with very little thought of the consequences. Reverend, I mean, so is it that you would like to see these safe exclusion zones removed? I know we'd probably end up moving back into the wider conversation about abortion, which half of the people listening, and maybe even more now, believe it's going too far in this country. That's potentially the situation. So, like, would you like to see these safe zones removed?
I think the experience, thanks for coming back to me on this, I think the experience in places like the UK where they is that it's now moved into policing thought and policing free speech. So you do have Clive Johnson, who is in court today for preaching a simple sermon on a Bible text. Somebody was arrested for standing outside a hospital, I think it was, or a clinic, and the police came and asked them, "What is it you're doing?" He said, "Well, I'm praying." He said, "What are you praying about?" He said, "I'm praying about my deceased son." Now, I have to say the police handled it very well. They were very gentle and all the rest of it, but it was just troubling that you can be arrested for things that you're doing inside your own head.
So policing people's thoughts, policing people's faith?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the concern of this, that it becomes overreach.
Grania, did you?
You're not praying in your own space. I mean, you can pray anywhere for anything, in any place.
But you are being stopped from praying in one specific place, Grania.
What?
You are being stopped from praying in one specific space.
Yeah, because it's intimidating other people. You're not praying for. You are praying for the people.
Reverend, do you believe it intimidates other people?
That would be to judge the motive of the person. If you
know, but you're judging motive by praying.
No, well, I'm yes, but you're doing exactly the same thing. How do you know that? Well, one of the things that we do whenever we gather in Letterkenny is that we pray for all the mums and all the staff and all the difficult decisions and all the trials they're facing. We're praying for them, not against them.
Yes, okay, I accept that. But and another thing about statistics. When people go in for this type of thing, which is a little bit contentious, they don't tell the truth. They may say they're doing it for a financial reason. I mean, I believe in statistics, but statistics can be really twisted.
Well, one of the things
when people are emotional,
they could be twisted in any which way, though, Grania.
It's like the surveys that are sent to me several times, and the questions that are asked aren't good questions because they're not going to get the right answer because they're straight yes.
But you'll continue. Do you continue to gather and pray, Mark? Reverend?
Yes. Okay. Yes, the Donegal Pro-Life hold a vigil on I think it's the first Friday of every month down at the roundabout, and we gather, and the signs are there to offer support.
And how have you managed to intervene in any of these instances in all your time protesting down there, as far as you're aware?
I don't know. I don't know. People come along and they encourage us and say thank you for doing what you're doing, but we do know that across the board that people that people do change their mind whenever they find encouragement to. And that there is support coming from outside. And on the issue of statistics, those statistics were gathered from from all sorts of places. But I remember seeing one during the referendum that was gathered by the Reproductive Rights Against Oppression, Sexism and Austerity. And it was a pro-choice, giving the same top reasons.
I think people can work through all of that.
But sometimes questions are in surveys are so planned.
I know, but what Reverend is saying is you could say that there are surveys that were planned for a different outcome to promote.
Thank you, Greg, yes.
Paddy, do you want a last word? I understand, Granny, I'm not being disrespectful. But if you say that can happen, so can Reverend, if you know what I mean. It depends on which angle you're coming from. Paddy, 30 seconds to you.
If there's anything more that I can add to what I've said already. I mean, the protests, we'll call them the silent protests at the roundabout at the hospital. Of course, there's a whole wide variety of reasons why people attend LUH. So at least the people that are attending it, that are attending the hospital for the service and that are providing the service, at least they're anonymized because they're
also
lost in the midst of all the other people.
And there could be women arriving there who are miscarrying as well, and they would love the choice.
Absolutely,
they would love the choice
personally, I'm all for protests, but I'm all for having it in the right place.
Thank you so much for the debate. I really do appreciate it. Paddy Rooney, always a pleasure. He's chair of Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital. The Reverend Mark Lockridge, pastor at New Life Fellowship and the Reformed Presbyterian Church. Mark, thank you so very much for your time. Have a wonderful weekend. And last but not least, our good friend, Grania Hines, member of Letterkenny Active Retirement. Grania, stay safe. Thanks as always for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, and thank you so much for all of you texting in. It is one of those emotive subjects. I'm going to be hung, drawn and slaughtered by some, and other guests are, and so on and so forth. But that's fine. We're a democracy and we talk about everything on the 9 till noon show. The news is going to be a little late. My apologies, but we did run over there. Rejoin us after 10 because we've got some interesting stuff, as you can imagine, coming up.
Huge savings on LG TVs at Irwin Expert Electrical. Get the stunning LG 65-inch was $679, now only $599, and it gets even better. Our deal of the year, the LG 50-inch NanoCell. Grab it now for only $399. Hurry, these offers won't last long. Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Building, renovating or upgrading your home? Don't miss the Inishowen Co-op Home Build and Energy Efficiency Hub at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Buncrana on Saturday, March 22nd from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Meet top suppliers for expert advice on home building, affordable heating solutions and grants to help you save. Visit Inishowen Co-op on Facebook for details. See you there.
At Restex Beds, we are celebrating 50 incredible years in business. And we are introducing our brand new Glenveigh mattress, comfort that's as legendary as our half-century legacy. Experience 50 years of bedding excellence at Restex Beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Restex Beds, leave the rest to us.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Hip hip hooray! Hip and knee replacement surgery is now fully reimbursed by the HSE under the Northern Ireland Planned Healthcare Scheme. Why wait? Access treatment faster at Kingsbridge Private Hospital in Belfast or Ballykelly. You'll be seen within 7 days and have your surgery within 21 days. We guarantee it. Text hello to 51777 for a call back from our dedicated cross-border team or visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border for further information.
Tina Turner. That is mad.
Looking for the perfect Mother's Day gift? Want to show someone that you think they're simply the best? Or do you have a proud Mary you want to spoil? West End mega hit Tina, the Tina Turner musical, is coming to Boardgash Energy Theatre, Dublin as part of its first ever Ireland tour. Join Highland Radio on Friday the 6th of June for an unforgettable trip. Set to a soundtrack of Tina's greatest hits, this inspirational and exhilarating story celebrates the life of the Queen of Rock and Roll. Trip includes luxury coach travel, overnight stay at the 4-star City North Hotel on a bed and breakfast basis, and ticket to the show. Contact us today on 9125000 or check out the outlet on highlandradio.com to book your place now.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. The word of the evening in Donegal town yesterday was transparency. It was as people gathered in the Abbey Hotel last night to discuss the relocation of the Donegal Education Centre from Donegal town to Letterkenny. A campaign has been ongoing to see the decision halted. However, the move has been signed off by Education Minister Helen McEntee. Dave Sexton, Industrial Officer with Trade Union Forza, says staff have a right to know why the decision was taken to relocate the office.
From a trade union perspective, we see that there is a lack of transparency in the process to date. And in that, there was a business plan put forward to the Department of Education by the Management Committee. We've always asked for a copy of that just to see if it's factual and correct, but that hasn't been forthcoming. So because of the lack of transparency, I suppose it's very difficult for our members and Forza to have any kind of trust in discussions.
In previous statements, the Donegal Education Centre management team say a comprehensive consultation took place with staff, and that was across the county ahead of the decision to relocate. London's Heathrow has been closed until midnight tonight following a nearby fire. The blaze at an electrical substation in West London has led to a complete power outage at the airport. Emily Keegan has more.
At least 1,300 flights were due to land and take off from Heathrow today, with all of those now expected to be cancelled. 120 planes were diverted mid-air and passengers have been told not to travel to the terminal under any circumstances. The closure has impacted a number of flights from Ireland, with all 9 flights from Dublin to Heathrow already cancelled. Shannon Airport says it's accommodating flights as needed and has team members on site to assist with the additional passengers. All flights from there to Heathrow have also been cancelled, and it's already facilitated 6 diverted flights from Toronto, Atlanta, Bridgetown, Barbados, Boston, Orlando and Newark, with the first landing just before 4:30 this morning. Heathrow says it has no clarity on when the power will be fully restored and expects significant disruption over the coming days. Anyone due to fly to the airport today is advised to get in touch with their airline.
Meanwhile, Donegal Airport says flights are running as normal and it's unexpected that there will be any disruptions as a result of the closure in London. A wave of large-scale drone attacks have hit the Ukrainian port city of Odessa overnight. It comes just days ahead of talks in Saudi Arabia aimed at securing a 30-day ceasefire. Delegations from the US, Russia and Ukraine are due to hold talks over the weekend and into Monday. Donald Trump says he's confident a deal will be done to end the 3-year-old conflict, temporarily at least. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says the Kremlin can't be trusted.
One moment they give their word, and a few hours later it means absolutely nothing. That's why we must keep pushing Russia toward peace.
Fuel prices have held steady this month. After a series of hikes in the price of both petrol and diesel since late last year, the price of a litre remained largely unchanged in March. The latest price survey by the AA found the average cost at the pumps was $1.80 a litre for petrol and $1.77 for diesel. However, there was an even better news for EV drivers. The cost of charging your electric vehicle fell by 3 cents compared with the previous month. Police in Strabane and Derry have launched 2 separate appeals for missing persons. Tara Duggan has the details.
21-year-old Lamar Manson McBrien has been missing since Thursday, March 13th. He was last seen in the John Street area of Derry city centre. Lamar is of slim build and approximately 5 foot 4 inches tall. Meanwhile, Alan McFarland is missing from the Strabane area. He's described as being 5 foot 10 inches tall with grey, balding hair and is clean shaven. He was last believed to be wearing a black jumper, black trousers and brown boots. Images of the individuals can be viewed on the Highland Radio website. Anyone with information on their whereabouts is asked to contact the police on 101.
Householders who put the wrong waste into their bins may have to pay higher charges. Cameras are to be installed by Panda Waste to catch out rogue households who put the wrong rubbish in the wrong bins. The company is to roll out the measure nationwide in an effort to reduce contamination. According to the Irish Times, other providers are likely to follow their lead. Conor Walsh is Secretary of the Irish Waste Management Association.
We've been working on this for 2 years in the IWMA, where we have a task force trying to see, well, what can we do to get the recycling rates higher? Because if we don't meet 55%, we'll be hit with fines, and people will be, could be tens of millions, hundreds of millions, we don't know yet. And people will ask, well, what did you do in the waste industry to avoid those fines? So this is one of the initiatives.
Looking now to weather, this morning is mainly dry and mostly cloudy. However, late in afternoon and into the early evening, rain will spread westwards across the region and continue through to the evening. Possible heavy or thundery downpours there too. Highest temperatures of 13 or 14 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back again with headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Friday morning, March 21st. The death has taken place of Jessie Thompson, née Boyd, Rockhill, Dunfanaghy. Her remains will be reposing at her late residence today for close family only. Wake will take place tomorrow from 12 noon until 9 p.m. Everyone welcome. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. Funeral service in St John's Church, Ballymore on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to the Lake House Comfort Fund, care of any family member or James Harcombe Funeral Director. The death has taken place of James John Bradley, known as Jimmy Jock and the Sailor, originally from Glasgow and Redcastle, late of Beach Hill Manor Home, Vaughan, and previously of Tevenakill, Moville, and before that in Dublin and Ballycroy, County Mayo. His remains will be reposing at Kelly's Funeral Home, Station Road, Carndonagh from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. tomorrow. Removal on Sunday at 12:20 to St Columba's Church, Drung, for Requiem Mass at 1 p.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed on the parish webcam. Family flowers only, donations in lieu to medical aid for Palestinians, care of any family member or Kelly's Funeral Directors. The death has taken place in Derby, England, of Fonsey Ward, formerly of Knockafogher and Ards Creasla. A vigil mass will take place at the English Murders Church, Derby, today. Fonsey's remains will then be taken to St Michael's Church, Creasla, arriving tomorrow at 6:30, where he will repose overnight. The funeral mass will be held at 11 a.m. on Sunday, followed by burial in Doe Cemetery. The funeral can be viewed online at mcn.live. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Irish Heart jameshark.ie, care of any family member or James Harkin Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Leslie McGowan, Ballydurone, Burnfoot. Leslie's remains will be reposing at his daughter Jacqueline's home, Ballydurone, Burnfoot, from 11 a.m. tomorrow. Removal from there on Monday morning at 10:15 to St Mary's Church, Fawn, for funeral mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu to the ICU, University Hospital Galway, care of any family member. Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. House is private to family on the morning of the funeral, with family flowers only, please. The death has occurred of John Logue, 9A Pullyteen Road, Ballymungan, Ahiarn, reposing at the family home today from 12 noon until 11 p.m. and tomorrow from 12 noon until 11 p.m. Family time, please, at all other times, including the morning of the funeral. Funeral from the family home on Sunday afternoon at 12:15 for Requiem Mass at 1 p.m. in St Patrick's Church, Ahiarn. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Noel Smith, Glebe Kellygervan Rathmullen, reposing at his home. House private, please, at the request of the deceased. Funeral service tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. in St Columba's Church of Ireland, Rathmullen. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only. Donations if desired to the Oncology Unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Patrick Sweeney Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Jean McGarrigle, née Gallagher, 84 Ballycolman Estates, Durban, reposing at her home. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmont at 11 a.m. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the Foyle Hospice, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Thomas Gallagher, Upper Corky, Manor Cunningham. Thomas's remains are reposing at his late residence today from 12 noon, with rosary at 9 o'clock. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham, for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass, which can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in St Columba's Church Cemetery, Dromahole. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. The death has taken place of Jean Kelly, Hillhead, Castle Finn, reposing at her home. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow morning at 11:30 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Castle Finn at 12 noon. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Imagine heartburn protection that lasts up to 24 hours. From first thing in the morning to last thing at night. Don't just imagine. Nexium Control gastro-resistant tablets provide up to 24-hour uninterrupted heartburn protection. Nexium Control 20mg gastro-resistant tablets. Ask your pharmacist. Contains esomeprazole. Used for up to 2 weeks. Always read the label or leaflet.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Thank you so much for so many of your comments coming in over the course of the morning. Greatly appreciated. We have hundreds. And I'm just reading them as they come in. We don't go through them as such and take out your views just before someone suggests we might. A caller says electricity in Ireland is among the most expensive in Europe, while energy companies make huge profits. A peaceful protest like switching off power for an hour a week could send a strong message to government if enough people join in. A nuclear plant could power the country, but it's a controversial and expensive one. While wind power, though cleaner, has reliability issues, the real issue is fairness. People shouldn't bear the highest costs while corporations profit. Beyond protest, we need strong government action on pricing, regulation and energy infrastructure to bring costs down. And, you know, people might wonder why the Trump administration, at least in the first 100-odd days, proved so popular. Paddy asked, why doesn't the minister with responsibility here meet the head of the ESB and say, look, what's what? It doesn't happen here, but that's what's been happening in the United States. And I think people look on and go, that's a different way of doing things. They did that in Argentina too, and inflation dropped and the cost of living dropped. So back in 1967, there were suggestions that Donegal might be made available as a location for the building of a nuclear power plant. they thought Ranafast would make a great place for it, apparently. That's one for Dr. Joe there. I think that would be interesting. Hi, Greg. I live in a seaside area and waste lorry comes around on a Thursday. They leave rubbish all over the road at every bin they lift. I was driving behind the lorry a few months back and rubbish was blowing out everywhere. It didn't seem to bother them what was going or what was happening. All right, okay. You know, often when we see stuff in the hedgerows, we blame passing motorists and what have you. Maybe there's more to it. Greg, traffic problems in Letterkenny. Not only are the powers that be not fixing things, but they intend to add to it. The road between New Mills and Letterkenny is wedged every school morning with tailbacks and traffic completely blocked. Now we hear they're going to build hundreds of houses near the GEA grounds. Imagine that adding to the already wedged road. Does anyone have any information on the mast going up at the top of Windy Hall in Letterkenny? I have nothing on it. I don't know. Is it a telecommunications mast? Let us know. Could Greg ask the Reverend why people of his beliefs re-abortion don't protest at Leinster House for financial and other support for much better assistance for people with badly disabled children who chose to have their baby and women who've been raped and child abuse leading to pregnancy? Another 50,000 abortions and hardly a peep from the clergy. Does this mean the church has softened its stance on abortion over the past few years, as they seem to have on same-sex relationships where blessings can be given to couples by priests? Well, we heard from the Reverend who would be very much opposed to one abortion, let alone 50,000. I'm sure there's many within the church and outside the church as well that would take issue with those with that happening. A caller says, we've seen what kind of supports that the church put in place years ago for pregnant women. We see now why people don't go to church as a result of the church's supports. Example, the mother and babies homes. Nobody else should have an opinion on someone else's decision. Abortions are nothing to do with the church, believes a listener. But for many people, the church is their moral guidance and their moral voice on these issues. So I think a lot of people, we've heard from two texts there saying, one, the church should be more vocal, and one saying it's not the church's business. That's the nature of opinion. I think Greg's comments are very unfair. The church is fighting day after day in our education system, trying to get rights for children with special needs. Well, if that work is ongoing, my apologies. I kind of more meant press releases and stuff like we've seen. For example, we have seen priests very actively involved in community issues, but you don't see it that often. Greg, you asked about help money. It's usually at the beginning of pregnancy women need the help. Pro-Life has and does provide monetary help and other supports for mothers until benefits kick in. Most clients are helped in confidence. I wonder if that's someone involved in Pro-Life. It's not a loaded question. It's a genuine question. And actually, you know, if the answer is out there in public, maybe women would choose that. It wasn't. I had no knowledge of whether or not the Reverend knew the answer to that question. When I asked the question, he could have quite easily said exactly what that texter said. If he had that info, he said he doesn't because he doesn't work in that area. In answer to Grania's point, it's a scientific fact that life begins at conception and the baby's body is a completely separate human being, and 50,000 plus abortions since the 1st of January 2019 in Ireland is not down to abuse. Nor is it down to the other end of the emotive arguments either. You're asking for the Reverend, why is the church not speaking out on other topics, and why is the abortionists not helping on other issues? Also, why blame church for all issues? Jesus' teachings never changed and won't. Morning, Greg. It must be great being a spokesperson for a church because regardless of their religious beliefs or faith, they never appear to be wrong. It must be great being right every time. Well, two people can be right. And the other can disagree with the other person as well. I don't think anyone has as much as we might wish we did, I don't think anyone has an absolute authority or is right. I mean, you know, in general issues, societal issues, there's always going to be difference of opinion. And those opinions may be different, but not necessarily one's right and one's wrong, because both will believe they're right. Would not God want us to look after each other by whatever means, says a listener? Another, the right to protest is something that's never a problem unless it's something the left don't agree with. I mean, a lot of people would agree with that comment. Did anyone watch the video doing the rounds yesterday that we, the taxpayer, are not only paying for Ukrainians to be housed, but also for the cars they drive to be fixed in garages? These things only help to turn me into a supporter of Trump. This economic craziness needs to stop. All this while we have a woman protesting yesterday at the hospital because of the poor quality of cancer services we have. I heard Simon Harris as well really slap down the TD that raised that issue, saying that he shouldn't, effectively, and that it feeds into a certain narrative. He didn't say whether it was happening or not. I think he sort of suggested it wasn't the norm, but he really effectively said that the TD shouldn't be raising that issue. Everything should be raised in the Dáil. That's why we have the Dáil, isn't it? I don't agree with everything that's raised, but that's the place things should be discussed and teased out. It's the best platform, surely, for politicians to have a debate and discuss and release figures so the public know. Hi, Greg. If anyone is wondering why our roads are so dangerous, just take a look at the sentence handed down to a woman who, in a high-speed chase, drove up to 200 kilometres per hour, drove directly at a Garda who was in peril of his life, and was given a slap on the wrist. She should have been jailed for 8 years and banned for at least 15. Our politicians, legislators and judiciary need to get real or forget about it. I think she got a 4-year ban. 4 years for that. And I think that happened in 21, did it? I wonder is that backdated, which means she's pretty much ready to go on the road again. What is Reverend Mark doing to support parents who have children with varied disabilities facing a crisis of something as simple as trying to get them school places? The country does not support children with disabilities. Well, the Reverend says that the churches are at the coalface every day engaging with those people. Are men, are parents, not parents, sorry, do fathers have no say in making these decisions? Blood boiling already listening to the Reverend. Abortion is a woman's right and that should be facilitated without intimidation. A woman that is 6 or 7 months pregnant, a man or woman, physically assaults her and the baby dies. What would they classify that as? The murder of a child or a fetus? Can the person who carries this act be charged with murder or of a child or an assault? Well, 6 or 7 months is you're well past fetus stage there, aren't you? I'd imagine. I don't know. Why should I insert my opinion into that? I haven't a clue. But you often hear when someone is charged that they would be charged with the assault or murder of someone who was pregnant. So clearly the pregnancy in that context is of significance to the charge. A couple more. Sorry, this is one of those subjects that if someone doesn't get their comment read out, they might think that they're being muted, which we don't do. Abortion is so bad for women. I know ladies that had abortions and their life took a downturn after the termination of their child, and these women should be listened to. It's just terrible that it does what it does. I know some women keep speaking up for abortion and justifying it because it makes them feel okay. And people who needs help after abortions, the same people who are praying outside clinics. The abortion clinic gives no help after abortion. I know you were saying that the pro-life people don't keep helping. They offer more help than the abortionists. It was a question, didn't know, and we've had other people answer and say that since then, because these are just questions, that the support's there until benefits kick in, is what some person said. Last two before the break, I think that woman has an issue against men. I believe a man should have a right to decide also, as it's his child as much as the woman. Understandably, a woman goes through the pregnancy and birth, but a man should have some sort of right to decide on his child's fate. I think there should be a new law regarding abortion. People seem to be using it as a contraception. Great discussion. How does that work, though? Because, so say, for instance, a fella could block an abortion, for an example. What role then does he have in the pregnancy, or ensuring the mother doesn't drink or smoke, or whatever it might be? Should the man then have a say in how the woman lives her life as pregnant? Because obviously, sometimes the actions during a pregnancy could affect the child post-birth, right? And what rights then post-birth, and so on and so forth. I don't know how one would police that. And last one, standard liberal establishment position. Everyone has the right to peaceful demonstration and free speech, except when it upsets what we want. The ban is yet another demonstration that abortion needs censorship and silence to make it socially acceptable, says Liam Mulligan. Then, at the same time, if you look to the United States and people protesting, I'm not including the fires or the bullets or what have you, people protesting outside Tesla stores, for an example, the Trump administration very upset about that. And to the extent, actually, that some of the actions which could never be condoned are being described as act of terrorism. But Elon Musk doesn't want anyone protesting outside Tesla, obviously not doing anything like setting fire to cars or what have you. But it's not just a case that the left don't want the right to protest. they're right often, and I could think of further examples. Don't want the left to protest either, if the truth be told.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday, the 21st of March. You're playing on the yellow sheet for the daily prize of €800. The reference number is S20. It's game number 12. The numbers are 40, 80, 2, 38, 53, 51, 62, 43, 14, and finally 84. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com. Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Shop Homeland's March Mega Deals. Dulux Soft Sheen or Vinyl Matte, Pure Brilliant White 10 litre, buy 2 for €75. Foxfield Gold ton bag of decorative stone, now $79.99, save €20. Offers end March 23rd. Visit your local Homeland or homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware, with stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Okay, we just got notified of the peaceful death of Ruby Druce, who was aged 109. Ruby passed away peacefully, surrounded by her loving family, predeceased by her parents George and Lizzie, husband Jim, brothers Geordie and James, sisters Maggie and Molly, her niece Margot and nephew Tony. Our sympathies to her surviving nieces Carmel and Claire and nephew Seamus, and the extended family and very close friends and all that would have known Ruby. She is being waked at her home, the home of her niece Carmel Harron in Castlefin, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. today, and tomorrow between 12 noon and 9 p.m. Her funeral takes place on Sunday at 12 noon in St Mary's Church, Castlefin, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. And you're asked to respect family time on the morning of the funeral. And if you want to donate, it's family flowers only. So donations allude to Donegal carers, care of Kennedy's funeral directors, or any family members. That's the passing of Ruby Druce, aged 109. What a remarkable age, having seen so much. And our thoughts with, it doesn't matter when someone passes, it always is a great loss. And our thoughts and prayers are with Ruby's family and her friends and the wider community that would have been very fond of Ruby. Now, we move on and say good morning to Mary Hart. Hi, Mary. How are you getting on?
Good morning, Greg. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Well, I can say one thing for absolute certain. Broadband has arrived with a bang in the beautiful city of Raphoe.
It took me a long time to battle it out.
Oh, we're gonna have you harangued and hassled now, Mary. Listen, it's great to speak to you. Thanks so much for joining us. And it's an issue that you're raising yourself. It's work being carried out by the Office of Public Works. Now, what is happening, Mary?
Well, many people probably, and I know there's at least 10,000 people visit the Beltony Stone Circle every year, and that's Donegal County Council figures. They had a counter there. So a lot of people have been talking to me, and I've seen it. There was a beautiful, beautiful hedgerow on the lane or walkway up to the Stone Circle, you know, a wild hedgerow with a lot of gorse, yellow, all year round. And honeysuckle, foxgloves, you know, blackberries, all sorts of
beautiful. We're looking at a picture of it right now, Mary, for those watching. It's luscious and lovely and natural. Yeah.
And last week, it's gone, completely razed to the ground, so to speak. You know, I don't understand why. I've contacted someone in the OPW in Dublin to ask if they can make some attempt to find out why, but I haven't had any response. But I can't understand why this would have been done because, I mean, I've lived here the best part of 40 years. It's been the same hedgerow, obviously, it blooms all year round, part of it. But it adds to the the ambience of going to visit an ancient site. And, I've even learned a lot myself, even looking at the gorse or fuse or when, as people have various names for it. But it was and is linked to the spring equinox, which just so happens to have been this week. And it's linked to the Celtic god of light, Lu, and we have August, Lunasa, the month of August. I think it's because of the brightness and the yellow of it. But it's it's just the fact that it is linked with all sorts of Celtic mythology, and there's some of it even where they say that one phrase is when the gorse is out of bloom, kissing is out of season, which means the gorse is never out of bloom. And it's a valuable plant for insects, bees, birds. So I'm just extremely disappointed that this should have happened. And I know that anyone walking up that laneway now will, if you're been up there before, you will go, what in goodness ever happened to this? So
and the road that it is just a laneway, right? So this isn't sort of about a main thoroughfare that these plants and what have you were encroaching on. It's clearly a pathway, and there doesn't seem to be much activity on the far side of the hedgerow that would justify it being cut back either. So I suppose why? Is this just as part of a survey and they've decided to cut it back? Is there a development or I don't know. It's peculiar, isn't it, Mary?
Yeah. Well, there's I did post it on Facebook, and I did post it up on sites like Wild Birds Ireland, Megalithic, and I've got hundreds of people responding. Some people saying, Kilcha needed to get access to take away trees. It's not a Kilcha forest. There is a forest there. It's been there since I've been here, and I'm here 40 years. So it has to be there, it was grown, so 50 years. It's a shelter belt forest. It belongs to the Department of Agriculture. There is no need for any access to that forest because it's just there. It's not, it's not being cut down. Although I think it's probably ready to be cut down. So there's not, it's just a walkway, it's a laneway. And, most of us who've grown up in Ireland value so much that wildness, that lushness of, an Irish hedgerow, and being able to just disappear into that little laneway, walk up. The trees on the way up even are, I'm not going to say it's like the dark hedges, they're smaller and less of them, but it's still got a lovely rustic Donegal feel to it, and part of the magic. And when you come around the corner, then straight in front of you is the ancient Beltany Stone Circle. So it's a shame from a whole lot of perspectives, and it's a shame that it's a government agency who would have done this. And I'm determined to find out why. What remedial action?
So just to be clear, I'm looking at it. Well, actually, do you know what? I'm going to show you the pictures I'm looking at because I want to make sure that I'm on the right. Right, you can see that now, right? So the hedges was that the beautiful yellow flowering and all of that was that on the left of that picture along the forest or on the right?
Well, if you look on the pictures on the right there, the forest is on the left. There's always and that's been hacked away to a point, but that's close by where you would have had all that yellow.
That's
all
all gone as well.
No, that's a picture I took just to show what it was like. Which is
I get you. Right, okay.
The field next to it. But people have posted up a photograph. A friend of mine had posted up one yesterday of herself and her daughter taken at that very spot with beautiful lush hedgerow. It was all green. That's so it's not just a hawthorn hedge. I don't even know if there was any hawthorn there. It certainly was mostly gorse and. Some people say, it's invasive and it had to be cut back. No, it didn't have to be cut back.
And it can't be undone either. There's so many public consultations that go on, isn't there? This would have been a nice one just to get people's views. And I'll tell you, in case there's a programme ongoing, it might be a heads up for other communities that could be on their hedgerows could be on the chopping block as well, Mary.
Yeah, absolutely, because it could, obviously the people doing the work didn't just suddenly do it on their own bat. I'm assuming that anyway. And in the great scheme of the world and tragic events and terrible things that are happening within the global landscape at the moment, it might seem minuscule, and it is, and that, if you look at it that way, but everything matters, no matter how small.
Yeah, there's a space for everything. Exactly. And you know what? If you want to put it into that context, is this the area where people go for a nice walk to get away from all the trials and tribulations of the world? You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
yeah.
And the last thing I would like to see would be like a big net fence or, wire fence, or, or like, it just baffles belief. And as you say, Greg, it can't be undone. It's done now. And, some people have suggested, well, it'll come back fairly quickly. I'm not so sure that it will, but I would like to think it will. But I would.
Well, if it's going to come back very quickly, why delete it in the first instance? Okay, Mary, listen. Yep, thank you so very much for your time. We do appreciate it, and we'll open up the chat. We've contacted the OPW, obviously, by the way, just to try and get some determination as to why they may have done this in the first instance. Thanks, Mary. Great to see you. Thanks so much for your time. I do appreciate it. Right, we'll be back with more shortly.
On Business Matters this week, I'll be finding out about how many Donegal people can boost their UK pension, but they'll have to act fast. And I'll also be looking at businesses on the New Frontiers programme. So join me, Chris Ashmore, for Business Matters after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
At Centra, we're bringing you Little Naples to Navan, a Little Milan to Monkstown, and a Little Rome to Rosslare. Have an Italian night in at home with delicious sourdough stone-baked Caro Mica pizzas, any two for €12, plus Peroni and Moretti 12-bottle pack, €16 each. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Are you looking for a powerful, high-performance laptop? Think green and save big with Ben Sweeney Euronics. Discover refurbished Lenovo ThinkPads that look and feel like new with Windows 11 pre-installed and a rock-solid 3-year warranty for total peace of mind. Why pay full price when you can save up to 70% and do your part for the planet by choosing sustainable tech? Find yours today at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Hyundai has pulled off a bit of a masterstroke, says the Irish Times. CompleteCar.ie write about its eye-catching design and a surprisingly capacious interior. Meet the all-new, all-electric Hyundai Inster. Now available to road test at showrooms nationwide, starting from just €18,995. Are you in?
Test drive the new Inster at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Denise McGahan. Good morning to you, Denise.
Good morning, Craig.
Thanks so much for joining us. We heard from Deputy Pearse Doherty talking about an accusations, he said effectively, that a child had been exploited by the government. That child's your son, Jack.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
So remind us as to how Jack became sort of, front and centre in some press coverage on this issue.
Yes, Jack was invited down just a few days before it happened, down into Letterkenny for this announcement. We weren't sure actually what it was ourselves. So we went down and then to realise that Anne Rabbitte had announced over $3 million of a grant to go into children's paediatrics, which was brilliant news for us because that covers every child in Donegal for physio, speech and language, OT and all that. So months went by and I didn't realise. I thought nothing's ever happened about this. So recently I've contacted Pierce Doherty just to look into this regarding the money to see was money allocated and was anything ever done. So I don't know now when I heard that the money was never there to allocate.
And you would have had much hope, wouldn't you? Because Jack, he's permanently in a wheelchair. And you, like so many families, citing yourselves for physio and speech language therapy that obviously he desperately needs for his progression. Yes,
Jack needs it definitely now. Jack is verbal now. He's starting to say words. He's stringing sentences together. But we need that service to help us along our journey. And as well as physio, especially for him in the wheelchair full time, and every other child in Donegal, they all need it. And Donegal's services are very poor at the minute between physio and speech and language. There's nothing available.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned this already, but it was a €3.6 million allocation of funding that was to be provided immediately for essential therapies to 4 organisations in Donegal. But as far as we can determine, and by we I mean through yourself and your inquiries with Deputy Pierce Doherty, that money never transpired.
No, that money was apparently never even there to allocate it out. So it annoyed me more then when Jack was taken down for this big photo shoot and all that, and all these and all news headlines and stuff like that, and then no money to be available. Yeah. And I'm sure it's annoying other families in Donegal as well, knowing now that there's never going to be a service again for a while. So I'm hoping now the government does step up and put some money into this county, because we definitely need it.
Of course, then Minister Charlie McConalogue, who's now a junior minister, he was also present for the photo shoot. He's a local representative. I presume you're calling on him or hoping that he'll make representations to, make this money available or additional monies or whatever is needed to help children like Jack.
Yeah, we definitely need that service here in Donegal for our children, and I'm just totally annoyed at it that all the photo shoot and nothing ever come out of it. So hopefully now they'll step up now and do something. We definitely need it. Jack hasn't had any physio or any speech and language from the HSC for a long time now. Is it a year and a half? No, it's at least a year and a half now since we've had anything like that.
Right,
so
okay. I'm
hoping now that the minister does something now and something happens, because we definitely need this service.
And look, it's possible that maybe the announcement was made in good faith. It's likely it was, and something happened in between. It could be an error that could be easily resolved. You would welcome that, I presume.
Oh, God, definitely. Yeah, definitely welcome. Mistakes happen everywhere in life, and hopefully now something will come out of it now. So.
Okay, well, listen, we'll chase it up, obviously, as well, Denise, to see what the story is. I'm sure the 4 organisations who were expecting that financial allocation would be very interested in this story as well. But for now, Denise, thanks very much for your time, and best wishes to Jack and the rest of the family. I do appreciate you speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks.
take care. That's Denise McGahern there, talking of her son, Jack, who she said... they feel he was treated as a prop, as he was front and centre by invite for a photo shoot to announce this funding that, according to Sinn Féin and Denise, obviously her lived experience, this money never came to pass, or at least certainly the services it may have delivered haven't come to pass either.
At Warehouse Bar and Kitchen, Main Street, Letterkenny, you'll find mouth-watering food and delicious cocktails 7 nights a week, with tasty deals including Tuesday Burger Night, Thursday Steak Night, Fizzy Friday, and boozy brunch at the weekends. Not forgetting live music every weekend. Follow Warehouse Bar and Kitchen on social media for specials and updates.
Discover full and part-time courses from level 2 to master's degree at the College of Agriculture, Food and Rural Enterprise, CAFRE, Northern Ireland's specialist agri-food and land-based college, with campuses at Greenmount, Antrim, Loughry, Cookstown and Enniskillen. Study a course in food, agriculture, horticulture, equine, floristry, veterinary nursing, land-based engineering or business. Make a difference. Book now to attend an open day from Tuesday 25th to Saturday 29th of March. For event information, visit cafre.ac.uk.
I can't stop myself, Doctor. I'm just a weak man. But it feels so good. It's so easy and quick. Ever since I discovered Chadwick's online, it's been a game changer. Chadwick's do everything. I started ordering a few tools to fix a few jobs around the house, but that wasn't enough. I ordered more from Chadwick's. The jobs got bigger, the tools got stronger. My kitchen's like a workshop and I'm halfway through and not the conversion. I need help, doctor. Because it's a two-man job. Will you give us a hand? Shop online now at chadwicks.ie. Click, search, done.
Octavia, Fabia, Scala, Superb, Kamiq, Karoq, Enyaq, Kodiak, petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid, electric, HVO. So much choice, but not that much time. Whatever 251 Skoda you choose, you should order it now, because even though we have a wide range, they're selling fast. See what stock is left at skoda.ie and order yours today.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Backstage Bar and Grill is the ideal destination to treat all your mums this Mother's Day. We have set menus to choose from with something to suit everyone. To make a table booking or for more information, call 07491 21976 or email us at bookings@centurycinemas.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So staying mostly dry and mostly cloudy until we reach late afternoon and early evening as rain spreads westwards across our region and will continue through the evening. Heavy at times with a few heavy or thundery downpours, temperatures 13 or 14 degrees. Maybe there are people who are hoping to get away to much warmer weather. Such an obvious segue to Owen Corrie, editor of travelextra.ie. Good morning, Owen. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg. How are things in beautiful Donegal?
It is lovely. We had a gorgeous day yesterday, Owen, and today's faring up okay. London Heathrow Airport completely closed. What's going on?
Yeah, big drama, and it's going to take 3 or 4 days to sort it out, Greg. Very spectacular. A lot of listeners will have seen the fire on social media that broke out just before midnight last night. A couple of things happened after that. They made the call, the power supply to the airport was cut off, so they made the call at 2 a.m. They closed it for 24 hours. That's a big drama because it's Europe's biggest hub. There are 1,300 flights in and out. There are about 63 off the island of Ireland, including 3 from Derry daily, 7 Belfast, 17 Dublin, and 1 from Knock. But the knock on from this is that Heathrow is a little bit different from other airports, Greg. Most people going to Heathrow aren't getting off in Heathrow. More than about 70% of them are getting on another flight to somewhere else. So rebooking a passenger, first of all, it's a big deal if you've that number of passengers getting them to London. But you're going to end up with segments. I've had 5 segments on one ticket on my flights and my traveling around the world. So there's a lot of people with rebookings to be done, and it's a headache for the airline. Good news is it's not really a headache for the passenger because it's the airline who has to sort this mess out.
Yeah, that's good. But as you say, it's a lot of connection flights. It's like flying through Dubai, presumably, or that area if you're heading on to Australia or something.
And all of those hubs, we don't have the volume going to Charles de Gaulle or Amsterdam or Frankfurt, Dubai, Doha, Abu Dhabi, all these places that Istanbul, that people would be familiar with. The overall number of flights to, I think, all of those places from Dublin in a day would be just slightly more than what we have to Heathrow. When you're connecting through Heathrow, if your connection is late, which happens, you have another flight in an hour between the 17. So those 34 rotations that are cancelled, they're only the start of a bigger problem.
They do have other airports in the area. Stansted springs to mind. Do they have the capability to ease some of this, particularly maybe just for inbound traffic where a lot of maybe Irish, that's their final destination?
Yeah, point to point, Stansted, Gatwick, Luton, Southend, London City, all operating as normal. Ryanair have put a couple of extra flights on for this afternoon to Stansted and to tomorrow to sort of relieve that. That's pretty okay for the point to point side, but they really can't cope with the volume Heathrow has. Gatwick does have two air runways, but they can't operate together. They have to, they're in such proximity to each other, they can only operate one. Stansted only has one runway. So the volume of traffic is, we saw it, 120 aircraft were in the sky this morning when the airport was closed. Heathrow Airport was closed at 2 a.m. and some of them went to Amsterdam coming in from the east, Manchester, Glasgow. Shannon got 6 of them as well coming from the west, because the first wave from North America comes in the morning. The afternoon wave comes in around 1 o'clock, Los Angeles, San Francisco. A lot of those guys were turned back. They hadn't passed out of American airspace. They don't have that extra slots or runway capacity to deal with the volume that Heathrow has. It's going to take a bit of catching up, but they will catch up, Greg, because the aviation industry is good at it. They lose, big hubs get closed occasionally. Chicago O'Hare is quite vulnerable to ice. But 2 or 3 times a winter it can lose an entire day with an ice storm. And the airlines are good at sorting the mess out. It is a mess, though, and it's going to take some sorting out.
Yeah, but as you say, to actually coordinate what they coordinate to begin with, I can't get my head around. So I have faith in them to be able to sort it out going forward.
If you were to even start to imagine there's 5,500 for Dublin and probably about 8,000 passengers flying in for even that alone, all those rebookings, and the bulk of it's falling on British Airways. British Airways is 50% of the London Heathrow capacity. The bits that are breaking down from the airline point of view are the customer service. It's normal sort of a Pavlovian almost reaction by airports. Say, contact your airline. You haven't a hope in hell of
what's
contacting
going on, or has it come across your desk much, the bag restrictions with Ryanair? I'm seeing quite a few posts on social media where people feel that their bag is fitting into these, that Ryanair are cracking down on this. They feel the bag's fitting in, and then they're being told that it's not, and they're facing extra charges. Is that something that's coming in to use at Travel Extra much?
It's always coming in, and it's as old as Ryanair's baggage charges. It's a long time since they brought them in, around 2002, I think it was. And what people say is the weight is under, and Ryanair say the weight is over. The bag doesn't fit in the size, or oh yes, it does.
All of that perennial problem, is it?
It's pretty much, when you're in the business of charging for bags, you're in that constant fight with passengers. It's something I put to Michael O'Leary, and he says, I'm not interested in money. I just want people to bring their bags on board. I don't want them putting the bag in the hold, because he has to pay baggage handlers if that's the case. But then the big problem comes when you have 189 seats on a Ryanair. They're all the same, 737-800, 189 seats. Some of the newer ones are a bit bigger, but there isn't enough bags for every one of those. And that's why the whole priority boarding dance and charade came about. The other thing you got to remember is that Ryanair are not Ryanair check-in. When you're in most airports in Europe, they're actually subcontracted. And sometimes
they can be very fussy in one
airport. A hard time about baggage, so they bully the passenger because they're being bullied by
exactly.
Ryanair.
And you can get inconsistency. But I'm comfortably old enough to remember that
You're not that old, Greg. None of that nonsense.
When you hear the next bit, I'll be all right. That traveling by a plane seemed like it would never be something I could ever do. It was only ever going to be those high rollers that could dream of even getting on an Aer Lingus flight or whomever was flying there. So if Ryanair say to me jump, I say how high, because they opened up.
Very right. I mean,
they opened up.
The revolution was caused by Ryanair.
Yeah.
It was £240 Irish return to get to London all those years ago. There was shock when Ryanair started introducing fares of £90. Now you can get there if you book at the right time for €15. It's quite amazing.
Yeah. All right, listen, thanks, Owen. Check out travelextra.ie, by the way. That's
pleasure,
Owen
Greg.
Corrie. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, I remember, and I've said it before, I think, getting on the bus outside the Abbey Hotel, and I think I was working in London at the time, the bus to the ferry, bus, change bus in London. Like, how long did it take? 18, 19, 20 hours? And that's why I moved home, ultimately, for many reasons. I didn't like it there, but also... it just was too bloody inconvenient. Burning gorse is one of the best things you can do with it. It comes back better than before. I know. I was raised on a farm with lots of gorse and it was always beautiful. Just give it time. Thank you for that, by the way. I do appreciate it. It's just, why was it burnt into the first time? Or maybe it is so it bounces back bigger and better than ever. Hi, Greg. They have got to stop increasing minimum wage. All is happening is price of everything goes through the roof and nobody's better off. You can see the number of small businesses that are closing every day and cutting hours. Therefore, no employment. What kind of idiots are coming up with these ideas? I suppose those that are looking out for people less well off. You're right what you're saying. The bottom line is you have to keep your foot on people, keep them down to keep prices down and demand at a certain level. Because if too many people are better off, then demand goes up, prices go up. But that has to be a better way of doing the economy, isn't it? Than, you have the people that have stuff, you have a certain section that are middling, and then you've got millions of people that haven't two shillings to rub together. But you have to keep them that way, or else inflation goes up for everyone else. I know I'm simplifying it, but that's the way an economy works. You don't want people to have too much money. Or you want people to struggle to pay their mortgage. That's why the interest rates go up, so the inflation comes down. A caller says, we might lose our fuel allowance. We elderly are concerned that we will lose our fuel allowance in the next few weeks. Times are tough and I believe that the fuel allowance should be extended. Where can we go for help? Again, what I might actually do is pull together supports that are there, be it St. Vincent de Paul, government supports, whatever might be there, because we're told they're there all the time, but maybe we don't know where we might go to find them. So we might get that together, and it might be a useful piece of information. Cahill says, Pastor Clive has my complete support. We were all in the womb once. Abortion should not be normalised. Well done, Pastor Clive. That's the pastor is actually in court. Hi, how do the public know the staff who are involved with the service in Letterkenny? Every woman should have the right to make the decision herself, but with all the options presented to her. Thank you. Yes, indeed. That's another valid point. I believe, and particularly given the divisive and sensitive nature of that, I believe I've got to the majority of comments on that, both for and against. And it is one of those ones, isn't it, whereby people are very passionate. I just want to say Happy World Down Syndrome Day. Ironic, says a listener, that on this of all days, we're discussing abortion. I don't want to conflate those things. I'll come back to that if you don't mind. I'm not conflating it, but just leave it with me. We'll be back with more after the news, or we'll be back with the news after the ads.
Massive spring sale at Charles Bonner & Sons Ballabafay. €500 off wood pellet boiler stoves. €250 off wood pellet non-boiler stoves. Discounts on all multi-fuel and electric stoves, plumbing and bathroom ware. Sale ends March 31st or while stocks last. Charles Bonner & Sons Ballabafay and thestovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
The Nissan Juke is now available as a hybrid with an outrageously stylish exterior and a smooth, quiet drive. But that's not all. Buy a 251 Nissan Juke Hybrid and we'll replace it with a 261 Nissan Juke Hybrid for free. Don't miss out. This extraordinary offer is available for a very limited time. For details about this and all our 251 offers, contact your local Nissan dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Make more with fish at Dunn's Stores, with everything you need for a seafood dinner. Visit our fishmonger and pick up a fresh side of salmon for just €15.99. Or mix and match 3 for €10 on your choice of 14 delicious seafood options, like hake fillets and succulent king prawns. Plus, save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunn's Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Back to the pitch with Brian McCormick Sports. Football boots for all ages. Adidas Copa Pure Pro in real soft leather. It's a must try on. Adidas Predator Pro in soft ground. The perfect boot for extra grip on pitch. Boots for kids in Velcro or lace with all your training essentials, gum shields, shorts and compression tops. Look the part, play the part. In-store and online. Click on bmcsports.ie.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Householders and building owners in areas susceptible to wildfires are advised to cut back or remove any vegetation or other combustible material in the vicinity of their house, building or oil tank to prevent wildfires damaging or destroying their property. Cleared areas should be maintained free of vegetation and combustible material. Donegal County Council would also like to remind landowners and members of the public that under the Wildlife Acts 1976 and 2000, it is an offence to cut, grub, burn or otherwise destroy any vegetation growing on any land not then cultivated between 1st day of March and the 31st day of August in any year. Members of the public are also reminded that the burning of domestic, industrial, agricultural and construction waste is an offence under the Waste Management Act 1996. Donegal County Council, protecting your environment.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
That's entertainment on the way, but first a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A Donegal mother says she feels her son was used as a prop by the government for a photo opportunity. Denise McGahern, mother of 9-year-old Jack, who lives with cerebral palsy, expressed her disappointment following a press conference in Letterkenny a number of months ago. Jack was invited to the event, which announced over €3 million for paediatric support services in the region. However, Sinn Féin is now claiming that the promised funding has failed to materialise. Letterkenny University Hospital remains the third most overcrowded hospital in Ireland today. The Irish Nurses and Midwives Organisation recorded 37 patients waiting for beds this morning. Of those, 8 were in the emergency department and 29 were in hospital wards elsewhere. University Hospital Limerick was the most overcrowded with 74 patients on trolleys, while Cork University Hospital recorded 49 this morning. A wave of large-scale drone attacks have hit Ukrainian port city of Odessa overnight. It comes just days ahead of talks in Saudi Arabia aimed at securing a 30-day ceasefire. Delegations from the US, Russia and Ukraine are due to hold talks over the weekend and into Monday. Donald Trump says he's confident a deal will be done. Airports here are expecting delays and knock-on effects from the closure of London Heathrow. The UK's largest airport has closed until midnight tonight, at least, after a nearby electrical substation resulted in a power outage. Donegal Airport says, however, flights are running as normal and it's unexpected that there'll be any disruptions as a result of the closure in London. And finally, householders who put the wrong waste into their bins may have to pay higher charges. Cameras are to be installed by Panda Waste to catch out rogue households who put the wrong rubbish in the wrong bins. The company is to roll out the measure nationwide in an effort to reduce contamination. According to the Irish Times, other providers are likely to follow suit. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more at 12 now.
Okay, so to be honest with you, I had a slight issue just firing the jingle because I got a text from my son who's going to a wedding and it was his shoes, right? So there's no wrong answers.
Dad duties.
Yeah. I shouldn't do it on air, but anyway, be honest, do those shoes go with that suit?
Oh yeah, it matches the tie. It's lovely.
Yeah, but the kind of blue with the grey suit?
I think it's good. I think it's funky.
Would you go black or stick with that?
I think I would stick with that there. Whenever he has the navy pocket square navy tie.
Yeah, okay.
You look greatly.
Thank you very much indeed. He probably isn't listening. Too busy. Too busy trying to tie a tie. All right, I'll sort him out when I see him later, and looking forward to it indeed as well. We're heading to the wedding as well. My niece Gemma and her partner Callum, and we're going to Harvey's Point. How exciting for Friday. Okay, got to take a very quick break, and then they are back together, you know, Michael and Fionnuala. They've ment the bridges. We can stop pretending that Fionnuala was away and it wasn't just a fallout between the two. But they've reconciled, and they'll be back with me after these.
Enjoy real savings this week at Super Value. Like Super Value Fresh Irish Pork Loin Roast, now half price. Super Value Fresh Irish Eye of the Round, now save 33%. Until Sunday, scan your card or app and get selected medium Easter eggs, now 5 for €5. And Pampers Selected Range, now 3 for €30. Make real savings every week at Super Value. Customer quotas apply.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
that is entertainment, and we welcome back from her travels Fionnuala Rabbit. Hi, Fionnuala.
Hi, how are you?
How are you getting on?
I'm getting on great, although I'm kind of a little bit upset.
What about?
Well, apparently I should just make myself redundant.
Who
The station doesn't need me at all. It breaks record-breaking fundraising while I was away.
Yes.
The staff were busy arranging everything and getting themselves all sorted for the birthday. So I'm beginning.
Well, on the flip side, could it be argued that you are so good at running the station that you were able to leave it in such great...
Well, obviously that's my argument, but I'm not sure.
I think if I was up for murder, I would not get Greg to defend me. That was a very flimsy, very flimsy.
My argument is that I've done an amazing job, but I think reality may be that everybody stepped in and just was fantastic.
No, it was good.
It was fantastic. I was watching it online. It was amazing.
Yeah, what did you miss? So you missed the awards, which were fantastic.
Yeah. Watched online as well while I
brilliant.
was sitting out on my balcony on the cruise looking at
No
glaciers.
internal rooms for our Fionnuala. Then we had last Friday, which was fantastic. But you're back for the sellout concert at the end of the month.
Yes,
as well,
which is great. Yeah, so it's all great, and of course I'm going to be front and centre when we hand over the money to the charities, because wouldn't happen without me, obviously.
Well, this was my argument last Friday. Yeah, no, it was brilliant, and we got to speak to the charities yesterday, and they are over the moon, and we all are. And as I said, obviously we had great support from the business community because we raised a couple of grand at the awards.
Yes, absolutely.
We had some amazing prizes sponsored. But
the
heavy lifting was done by our fantastic family, our listeners.
Absolutely. As always, they just really rallied round the hope that Highland had to raise a significant amount of money for such worthy charities. And once again, as you say, the listeners, our community, our family, just stepped in right behind it and did a fantastic job of it. So it was just amazing.
Right, okay. How are you, Michael?
I'm very good, Greg.
Good
Thank
to have you back
good
up
to be
again.
here. Yeah, good
the
to be
ever-present.
Good to be here, as always. Enjoy
Exactly.
it. Good fun.
We had you down at the Mount Erglen, did nothing, but we've spoken since, haven't we? We were together on last Friday. We were.
No.
Were we not?
No, Caroline had said come on up, and then I had a chance to connect with someone I used to work with, so I did that instead.
Oh, that's okay. Well,
so that was fine.
What a way to put things. Such office speaking. I connected.
Bumped into someone. There you go.
So
anyway, but I was watching and I saw some lovely pictures, and it looks like you guys were having a load of fun without me as well. Yeah.
No,
well done. Well done. Well
can
done.
I just say both of you were missed. Your absence was not was noted. Sorry.
See, I believe him when he praises me, but when he praises you, Fionnuala, I just don't believe it. But I believe that.
I was thinking
I
exactly
believe
the
that,
opposite.
but I don't believe.
You must be all over the shop, Fionnuala, because we all have our little routines, whether we like to admit it or not. But the little times of the day that are ours, or where we squeeze stuff in, and you've been seeing the sights of the world on your once in a lifetime kind of a trip. So was it mostly reading? What did you do mostly with your downtime when out foreign?
It was mostly reading because I, of course, am very silly, and I didn't realise that all of my apps were giving me different TV programs. So the way you kind of forget that when you're traveling. So the way it would say to you, oh, you're in a different area, and everything was in Spanish
it's
or
geo,
Portuguese.
yeah, it's geo-locked or whatever.
Yeah, so it was all geo-connected and that kind of thing. So yes, so I, to be honest, was doing quite a bit of reading and
you didn't watch any telenovelas, no?
No, I couldn't do a telenovela.
See, the thing is if you're on, I'm not a big reader, right? But I think you want to be doing something. I mean, if you were out on holidays and you were watching a program that you normally watch at home, it's you want to sort of be away from what you normally do, don't you? And having that space to read a book and the mental space and the downtime. I think that's where I would be at. I don't think I'd want to be out away on holiday doing what I do at home.
Yeah. Well, normally when I'm on holidays, I go with kind of the way you're just going to Spain or Portugal or somewhere like that just for a week and that kind of thing. And I usually go then with family, so there's kids around, so we watch different things. That's how I ended up watching Clarkson's Farm. That's how I ended up watching lots of different things.
That's just a marriage I never thought would happen. You and Jeremy Clarkson, but
Clarkson, I'm obsessed with it. I even watched the Caleb one. Did you watch Caleb?
No.
The young fella does a stand-up kind of a thing where he talks about farming and He's gotten very famous out of it. It's actually quite good.
But
If anybody liked Clarkson's and liked him,
he seems to have the character actually to pull it off as well. So he was well cast to begin with.
yes, he was well cast, and apparently originally wasn't even cast, as in that he did actually happen to be the kid that was working on the farm, and they were looking for somebody to bring in, and then suddenly they were like, why are we looking when this kid is here?
We'll definitely throw it out to the audience. Have any of you watched any of Adolescence yet on
I've been
Netflix?
reading about it, but no, I have not yet seen. But it's getting incredible press.
Yeah, they've shot. It's 4 episodes, isn't it, or 3 1-hour episodes, 4 1-hour episodes.
I thought it was 6. Was it?
They're shot in one take, which is quite unique. But it's not like one of those films where I think you're looking for where they actually didn't do it in one take, because they did do it.
They did
in one
do it,
take.
yeah.
And a lot of people raving about it. It's Netflix's top show. I think 93 million streams.
Huge.
I've seen him talking about it.
The actor's everywhere.
Yes,
They're
Stephen
everywhere.
something, isn't it? But I've seen him talking about
Stephen
it.
Graham.
Yeah,
The actor.
the actor that's in it. He
Who's
was
in
very
everything.
Not
He's in
only
Mesa.
was he. He's very much the force behind this. It would appear that him and kind of his team were the people that sort of wrote it and put it together, or at least the group that he was in. And it's interesting the way they wanted to do it. He was saying, if anybody that has seen is interesting, it's basically about a young girl that is murdered, and it's about the kind of finding out of the whodunit, and the whodunit is sort of loosely based around stories that had happened in the UK. And he was saying how he had read these stories from one end of the country to the other. They were completely away from each other. It was in the space of kind of a month or 2 months, 2 tragedies that happened, and the perpetrators was quite shocking who the perpetrators were, and that what they wanted to focus on was not that it happened, but more why did it happen?
And
What
of
is
course,
it behind
the show
it? So
has
it's
been dragged into the left-right political quagmire, as you call
Has
it.
it? Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah.
Well,
Right.
the alleged protagonist about his profile and stuff. The usual
Right,
stuff. It's
the
just
usual nonsense.
People just can't sit and watch a show anymore.
Oh, I know. They have to have a
It's,
side.
There has to. You have to have a side. My mic seems quite low here. I wonder is there? No. Anyway, sorry about the noise, everybody. I think my headphones or my ears. I might have a blocked ear. Right. Okay. So that's a quick conversation about what none of us have watched.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have, but I think it's going to be one everyone ends up watching. If you have watched Adolescence on Netflix, I'd be interested in what you think of the show, and also too, I think sometimes when a show is a big hook, like being shot in one shot, that sometimes you focus on that. Too
Of
much.
course,
I think
yeah.
we've talked a
I
little
agree,
bit about
yeah,
this in the
yeah.
past. That sometimes
The gimmick can overshadow the content a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
curious if our listeners have watched it, and if the gimmick overshadowed the content. 086 60 25,000. We love your WhatsApps and texts, by the way, please, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Tell us what you're doing. If there's something nice coming up for you at the weekend, we just want to share in your joy, because there's a lot going on, as was referenced earlier, and it's nice to take 1 hour of a very, very long week just to reflect on stuff. That's unless Michael starts talking about a very controversial podcast, which he can tend to do. Let's start with you, Michael. Daredevil on Disney.
Daredevil is a new show to Disney, but it was originally a Netflix superhero show back in 2015, 16 and 17. Ran for 3 seasons. Critically acclaimed.
Siobhan McGee, by the way, says Fionnuala is looking great. Thank you, Siobhan. She is looking fantastic.
She is looking fantastic, yeah. I said that earlier.
I'm recommending the long holiday, Siobhan, to
It's the way
everybody.
to go.
It's the way to go.
So, Daredevil is a Marvel superhero show, and then the deal between Marvel and Netflix fell apart as soon as Disney started producing their own Marvel shows, and that was the end of
all
that.
content.
Yeah, their own content. So they cancelled all of the Marvel shows, even though they were hits. So we've been waiting for Daredevil to return and the other shows to return, and Daredevil has finally returned, and it's now 10 years since it started, 7-year gap. And the big thing that fans were hoping going into this 4th season, the new show, was that it would be the same quality, same high quality. And there was a bit of behind the scenes wrangling because they started making it a couple of years back, and then Kevin Feige, the boss of Marvel, saw the early episodes and stepped in, and the directors and showrunners were released from their contract, polite way of saying fired, and they restarted the whole thing to make it gritty and dark. And that's what Daredevil should be. It's also like that in the comics. I've been reading the comics for 40 years.
Gritty and dark.
Gritty and dark.
But you're also in...
People are suffering.
You're in lycra outfits?
Not really. I mean, this.
Daredevil's a little bit different.
It's
now.
different, yeah.
Does he not have a
no,
lycra
he does.
outfit?
He does have a lycra outfit, but he doesn't wear it very much. Like he has this season
Just for special occasions.
We're
No, it's not quite. Well, also, it's not.
It's a little bit like my lycra outfit then. So.
Only on your birthday.
We're 4 episodes into the new series.
You want to see me jump off the cabinet in the bedroom dressed as Batman?
You never. Thank you for that image.
I'll be up there going, na 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 na
Thank
na
you.
na na.
That's an image that
Audio was so exciting.
Where do you get? I need to chat to my therapist again and get that image out of my mind. Get it out of my head forever. In the 4 episodes we've seen so far, he's only been in costume. We don't say it like outfit. He's only been wearing his gear once. And this 4th episode this week was a courtroom drama because he's a lawyer. And it's one of the best courtroom dramas I've ever seen.
I love courtroom dramas.
Well, this is one of the best I've ever seen. It was not sensational, not melodramatic. It revolved around a man of colour being arrested for stealing some dessert, and Matt trying to get a good deal for him in the system, getting him down to 10 days in prison. And the way it was done and the way our sympathies shifted throughout the hour was quite remarkable. It's a dark show dealing with death.
So why does it have to be in the realm of superhero? Right.
Oh,
so,
why does it have to?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, originally it was created in the 60s as a superhero. Just the way it is. I think the short answer is that it ran in the comic books for like 20 years as a superhero, very much like Spider-Man. And then a guy called Frank Miller came in the 80s. And I think more than anyone, he was the one who made it dark and gritty. He was the one brought topics like vice, prostitution, drugs into it.
So 4 episodes in, do you think those who had the reservations about it switching to Disney will be happy?
Yes, I mean, yeah, I think going from what I'm reading online, and I'm almost exclusively on Threads now, but I mean, it's just everyone is amazed by it. I mean, it really pulled no punches. It's incredible. It's a great show. It's the best thing on TV at the moment for me, up there with The Bear and Slow Horses.
Right,
it's amazing. Yeah, for me,
Fionnuala's not
no, Fionnuala doesn't like it, but that's fair enough. Yeah,
No, I watched it, and I have watched the first one. I haven't moved on.
You've seen the first one?
I haven't moved on from that. To be honest, what I don't like about Daredevil is it's very dark and gritty, which is fine. It kind of is a bit DC-ish in that sense, the way. But what I don't like about the dark and gritty is go dark and gritty. That's fine. It's the angst, the way. It's like, okay, you're
the
dark.
layers of dark and gritty.
It's like, well, no, it's not. It's like he accepts that it's dark and gritty, but then the whole way through, we have to be listening to him talking about his conscience and whether he's actually going to step over the line or not step over the line. You're like,
because he's one of the key things about him is that he's Catholic and he goes to his priest and he confesses because he feels bad about what he does, beating up bad guys. That's the huge thing about it.
And I know, but it's like, all right, buddy, we already talked about this in season 1. We're now in season 4. You know what I mean? You've returned to this is about it at the end of season 3. At season 2, the original season, he had kind of stepped away from it because he was so concerned.
But maybe
that
they're on their own arc with this, that they're sort of going back before they go forwards a little bit.
I think so.
I don't know. Maybe that's it.
Actually,
and I will go back and finish watching it because in fairness, it's not that it's bad. There's some great actors in it. There's, you know what I mean. There's some.
Vincent D'Onofrio is incredible as the
he's
Penguin.
amazing in it.
And John Bernthal is back as the Punisher, and he's incredible.
Yeah,
John Bernthal is.
But he's another one as well.
And another thing that's very good about the Punisher returning is just that in the real world, there's a bit of a thing going on the last few years where New York cops in particular have appropriated the Punisher emblem and have been using it, and it's quite controversial. Like, I mean,
in real life.
In real life, this is the thing that Marvel, and so they have written that into the show.
Okay, it's full marks for you.
10 out of 10,
Jury's out for you, I suspect.
Yeah.
Local connection to the adolescents. The child psychologist in that show is Erin Doherty, and her dad is from Carndonagh. We have reached out for Erin for an interview, but as you can imagine, they're up to their ears at the moment. They're having every show going, and that's only in Britain, let alone anywhere else. Okay, we're in the company of Michael and Fionnuala. It's really great to have Fionnuala back again. We've just been talking about Daredevil, which is now on Disney. A film coming to Netflix soon is A Simple Favor. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
Is that?
It's out since 2018. Anna Kendrick's in it.
Oh yeah,
Blake Lively.
Yep.
Good wee show actually.
Great.
Watched it during the
Really
week.
enjoyed it. Yeah, it's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I love Anna Kendrick. Like, Anna Kendrick is like Tina Fey Mark II. I really fancy her. She's great.
Sometimes she goes into the ditzy thing and
it's adorable though.
Yeah, I know, but it's like she doesn't do it and then she does do it. It's like, right, we need a bit of comedy in the last third. Ditzy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Barry Carr says there's a deal on Disney Plus currently $1.99 a month for the first 4 months.
Ooh.
So on Disney, there's a lot of sections within Disney that, like the Star and stuff, you know, that you don't realise. There's some really good. It's not just kids stuff. There's some really good shows on Disney.
Oh, there absolutely is. There's some really good
Hulu
dramas
that,
and
you
stuff
know,
like that's on it. Well, they have ER now, and they have all the back episodes of that. They have a lot of back catalogues. They have Tracker, which is a good show. They've got Will Trent.
Dying to start Tracker. I'm dying to start Tracker. I think it's in my kind of show.
Well, it's back up again. I thought it had finished. That it was a short series.
I have nothing from you at all. Have you watched nothing? Are we going to just vibe this? We'll just vibe it. Okay, we'll vibe it.
I don't know what I watched.
All right,
I've been watching all kinds of stuff.
She's still on a balcony somewhere looking at glaciers. Okay, we'll be back with more after these.
Clarins Gift of Beauty is back at McElhenney's. Buy 2 Clarins products, one to be a moisturiser or serum, and receive a free 4-piece set of Clarins Travel Essentials. This exclusive offer is available in-store and online at mcelhenneys.com while stocks last.
Weanlings hit record €5 per kilowatt marts. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out why beef prices are booming and how long it's going to last. New drainage rules trigger land market caution. Why 300 farmers were penalised in cross-compliance inspections. Farmers ordered to knock sheds built without approval. Essential advice for anyone planning to build a home in rural Ireland. And find out what contractors will charge this year for cutting, baling and wrapping silage in our contracting special. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Lock in your price in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Unlike some other providers, when you switch to us, we guarantee not to hike our prices during your offer period. So, super-fast, reliable broadband can be yours from just €35 a month, guaranteed for the next 12 months. Lock in your price today at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. New broadband customers only. 500 meg, €35 a month for 12 months, €70 thereafter. Price lock means you won't receive a price increase while in this contract. T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie.
Your favourite playlist. A long open road trip. Great on their own, but combined, a perfect complement to one another. Just like Audi hybrid models. One part epic efficient electric power. The other, legendary Audi engine performance. This is a pairing that's all in one, twice as good. This is Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik.
Got a hidden leak? AMG Leak Detection provides a professional plumbing service throughout Donegal and surrounding areas. Using the latest technology, we find and fix leaks quickly. No mess, no hassle. From pipes to drains, we're here to save you time and money. Don't wait for costly damage. Call AMG Leak Detection today on 086 236 2774 for a leak-free home. AMG Leak Detection. Detect, repair, protect.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
22 minutes past 11. Yeah, I watch stuff, but I don't know what to talk about. It's a direct quote from Fionnuala, which is great because we like to play it fast and loose.
Of course.
A caller says adolescence was brilliant, but it had a bad ending, according to Maria. But sometimes it has the ending that you didn't want to happen. I think that's very subjective, isn't it? Another listener says, what a show. Watched it. Boy, it was hard to watch for all the right reasons. And I can't read the rest because I suspect that it might spoil it for others. But the caller goes on to say, this is real stuff. Outstanding from all the cast. Stephen Graham, unbelievable. His star has just gone.
He's incredible, yeah.
Because I think he was a bit of a sort of a supporting actor, kind of a buzz, and now he's
I think
hot
so,
property.
yeah.
And he's another show at the moment, hasn't he? The show
1,000 Blows.
Yeah.
It's on Disney. It's getting pulled up for all the violence that's in it, which I have to say, if anybody goes to watch a program called 1,000 Blows and doesn't think it's going to be a bit violent, you're like, all right.
How was I to know?
Yes.
I thought it was about bagpipes.
Yeah, no. It's kind of like 1800s gangland England.
Lee Gooch is raving about that, about boxing, is it?
Yeah, it's about boxing.
It's all
the kind of spreads out a bit into the whole territory.
Is it the people who make? Was I told us the people who make Peaky
Blinders?
Blinders?
Yeah,
people
some of
same
them are
people
involved.
involved.
He said it had those vibes. He'd been
Yeah.
Peaky.
I think it's the same.
Right. Happy 19th birthday to Caitlin Doherty of Ard Drummond, Ramelton. Lots of love from Auntie Caroline. And a special happy birthday to Eileen in Derry. They want to hear Joseph Locke. We don't have time for that. But John, he could play anything. You just simply don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So have you hummed and hawed about something? Don't think it has to be, something brand new. I mean, there's bound to be some trash you watched before you went on holidays.
Oh, I know. Well, before I went on holidays, I was
Gone with the Wind just came out when you started your cruise. You've been away that bloody long.
Love that movie.
She's seen 7 in the cinema and then went on a cruise.
Before I left, I was like, hats off to Brenda Blaheen and her finishing of Vera. To be honest, I spent the first week talking to all the people I met on the cruise about Vera.
Were you about to say they were older people?
No.
Oh, good age demographic. Okay.
Oh, I know. Oh, there was a lot of them now that were old, as I like to think I was the youngest on the boat. And my cousin's husband was like, "We're the youngest on the boat," and we were like, "I think you'll find you're 60.
Yeah, I know.
You're not in our age." But yeah,
that's right. He weed the too early 50s.
He did.
Yeah,
he weed the 50s. So we were like, "Oh, I think you'll find it's us." No, but Brenda Blaheen has given up Vera, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with it, because they're talking about doing kind of a spin-off, and they brought back the original sergeant that was with her. Was with her in the beginning, and whether they're going to spin off from that.
So it was her. I didn't know any of this. Was her decision? So
it
was
was
still a
her
hit.
decision.
Okay,
now,
still a hit.
I've talked about Vera before. Like, they did 13 series of it. It is awesome. I absolutely.
It's amazing that something can sustain for that long.
Oh, and it's very simple kind of a thing. And to be honest, I loved it so much I started reading the books when I was away. Anne Cleves that wrote the books. I wasn't mad about the books purely because they were very good detective stories and that kind of thing. But they're much more kind of storyish, and Vera wasn't in it enough for my liking. It was halfway through before she showed up. But Brenda Blaheen did a fantastic job of it. But I know we've mentioned in the past, like, she used to start off, she put on her own booties, and by the end of it, somebody else was doing it for her. She's moved up in time. It's hard to be getting in and out of that Land Rover. And also then, she had to move down to the part of England. But the thing is now, what is going to take its place? Because that
it's not quite... Are they changing the character, or is that show kaput?
Well, it's gone now. Okay. So Vera has retired. So she's walked off into the sunset. Understood. Now, there is talk about whether or not the team that are there, whether they're going to try and form them into some other kind of
the obvious thing is, isn't it, Vera before Vera?
Oh, well, I know, but they've done that now with Bergerac, and it's on drama at the moment, and it is not getting good. And the actor that's in it is very good. He was in Brassic and a couple other things. He's a lovely English actor, and it's not getting very good reviews.
I was told Brassic is great. It was hardcore recommended to me by a friend.
Brassic is so good.
I heard it was fantastic.
It's a bit rough, but it is very good watching. But so they have tried to do that. You know what I mean? They did it with Endeavour. They did it with, now they're doing it with Bergerac, and sometimes people don't like it because you get ideas into your head as to how they've become.
But they did it with Dexter, and I finished that, and it was brilliant. Loved it.
It's really
fantastic.
Good.
It was brilliant.
I can't wait. I've seen the promo material for the new proper Dexter, and it's looking...
Well, we don't use the word proper because I watched the proper Dexter because it's Dexter.
Well, let's say...
yours is his son.
Grown-up Dexter, maybe, or whatever. But anyway, I like what they're implying in the promotional material for Dexter.
If it were me, I would say throw your resources back into the prequel, so to speak.
Really,
yeah. People really enjoyed it.
By the way, Fionnuala was away on a cruise. If you have any questions about cruising, if you're planning, give us a call, because if there's any person that will shoot from the hip, it's Fionnuala, and I'm not sure she's decided if she actually would do it again or not. But Fionnuala, was there no cinema on the cruise ship?
There was, but they showed a lot of all the movies that I'd seen already.
Titanic,
so they didn't have a big Strangely enough, no, they showed them in the afternoon on the days that you were stuck in the thing.
Poseidon
Adventure. Did not see Poseidon Adventure. I know, Meg, something like that. Your movies. No, I did not see any. They showed them in the afternoon, so there wasn't like a cinema. There was more like a viewing room and that kind. Wasn't a very big boat that we were on. There was only 2,500.
Only.
Which is very small.
That's a lot of people. That's a small town.
I know, but apparently not. Because I met our boat was only 10 stories high, and I met somebody and theirs was 18. And by 10 stories now, I mean right up at the top, like where the crow's nest kind of is. When you're
And
sitting up
did
there.
you?
I played a lot of Scrabble. I'm really good at Scrabble.
When you were on
Scrabble's
the
great fun.
when you were on the ship, did you feel occupied all of the time? If you know what I mean, like, did you feel like you were in a? Did you feel like you were in a floating holiday resort, or do you think, oh, I can't wait to get off and see something?
No, well, because when we went, I suppose we'll just say what we did. So we started off in Peru, so we flew into Lima, and then we went to, I'd like to say Machu Picchu, but really it was Paddington. We were following Paddington in Peru, and we went up. But anyways, we went to we did Machu Picchu, we did Cusco, and we came back then. That was just amazing.
That's not part of the cruise. That was a little.
This was a starter kind of a thing.
Beforehand,
yeah. So and then we flew to Santiago, and then we got on the cruise in Santiago. So we had a week, and then we had 2 weeks on the cruise, and then we had a week then in Argentina, and finished.
That's off the cruise.
Off the cruise again, yeah.
Okay.
So we had a week either side of it. So
if you were planning it again, would you stick the cruise ship in the middle of it because you were experiencing so much on the shoulders of it? What was the function of the cruise?
I think the cruise in the middle of it was a good way to do it because you kind of had a bit of time to sort of get yourself ready straight into the thing with the cruise is that first of all you're on the boat very little because really kind of almost every day they're stopping up somewhere.
Right, okay, every day they are.
And with the cruise that we were on, because we went down around Cape Horn and that, even the days that we weren't doing something, you were getting up at 6 in order to see the glaciers, or you were getting up at 6 to see Cape Horn, and different things like that. So even though if there was 2 days in a row, you were seeing something while on the...
I get you, yeah.
So there's very little time that you're actually like kind of sitting around waiting for it to do something. And then there is loads of stuff that's on it. You know what I mean? There's a casino on it. There's bars on it. There's concerts that are on. There's music on 3 or 4 floors. There's 6 restaurants. You know what I mean?
Okay, listen, fantastic stuff. As I say, any questions, Fionnuala will tell you the facts.
Yeah.
Michael Leddy, Fionnuala Rabbit, this is That's Entertainment. We're going to take a break. We've got 2 guests coming in studio, and then after that we'll have more from Michael and Fionnuala.
It's the holiday of a lifetime. Highland in the Sun 2025. This September 14th to the 21st, we go back to the stunning 4-star Sol Costa Dorada Hotel Saloon for 7 nights dinner, bed and breakfast, and lots of great entertainment with some of your favourite acts in Irish country music. Don't delay and book today by contacting Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. Don't miss out on the holiday of a lifetime.
Wheelings hit record €5 per kilowatt March. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out why beef prices are booming and how long it's going to last. New drainage rules trigger land market caution. Why 300 farmers were penalised in cross-compliance inspections. Farmers ordered to knock sheds built without approval. Essential advice for anyone planning to build a home in rural Ireland. And find out what contractors will charge this year for cutting, baling and wrapping silage in our contracting special. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney & Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order, and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing or voluntary transfer. Call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney & Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
If you need an eye test, look no further than Louis Walsh Opticians. Letterkenny's longest established opticians are delighted to welcome patients new and old to their state-of-the-art practice in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Their latest technology includes a 3D OCT retinal camera which assesses the health of your eyes in minutes. Private, medical card and PRSI patients welcome. Call 91 21000 to arrange your eye test.
Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny. Your vision, our focus. Attention Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. PD Bathrooms and Tiles are proud to unveil our newest and most stunning showroom in Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana. Located right opposite the Northwest Golf Course, we offer unbeatable quality and incredible value. For 30 years, we've been the experts in total refits, stocking and serving as the sole agent for many top brands. Visit us today and transform your space with the finest bathroom and tile solutions. Telephone 93 95 884. PD Bathrooms and Tiles, where excellence meets value. Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana, F93H10F.
Okay, I only have Caroline Bell and Sean Lafferty in studio with me. Good morning, both of you. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg.
Great to have you with us. Caroline is coordinator at the Ballard Development Community Arts DCA. Sean Lafferty is presenter of Autism and Down Syndrome's Got Talent. Right, and it is an event that's coming up as in the Ballard, and it is on Friday, March 21st.
Tonight, yeah.
Tonight?
Yep.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Right, so I'll start with you, Caroline. Talk to me about this event.
Well, this, about a year and a half ago, Greg, there was a thing on the breakfast programme on Good Morning Britain, and I was just turning off the TV, and Lorraine Kelly was talking to three ladies that were going to get their OBEs that day, and one of them was an Anna Kennedy, and it was Down Syndrome's Got Talent that she had been hosting for a few years. So I thought, right, okay, that sounds like an idea. And, excuse me. So I was talking to Connor and we decided, right, listen, we'll run it and see, because we would have a lot of children with autism in our youth theatre that we run through the year. So we advertised it and it took off, and Anna actually contacted us and was telling us how it started for her.
Wow.
She has two sons with autism and she wanted a platform for them to be able to, show off their talents. So that's how it started, and she offered any help she could give. Now, she runs it, I think it's a worldwide thing that she auditions them. But, so yeah, we ran it last year, and it was one of the nicest nights, I think, Sean, wasn't it, in the theatre?
It's one of those things too. You don't really. You need people that want to participate, and that's
100%.
You don't know that till you throw it open. Sean, what was it like being involved last year?
Oh, last year it was. I've said this before. So many people when they ask me about it. Out of all the nights I've ever had in a theatre, this was probably one of the most special nights I've ever.
Is easy to put your finger on as to why?
Yeah, I remember standing at the side of the stage while the acts were on and thinking, "There's absolutely no fear on that stage whatsoever." When myself and Caroline and anybody in the Ballard, we were all performers for years and years and years. We get, and as I'm sure you do too, if you're asked to do another event that's maybe not outside your comfort zone or something, you're nervous, you're going, oh my God, am I going to get this right? There was no fear. And I just sat there and I went, look at the pure enjoyment that is happening out on that stage. And I just thought, massive life lesson, just to think,
Well, we see, we can carry preconceived notions, can't we? And this is an opportunity, if one didn't realise it, that we have super talented children and young adults with autism spectrum disorder, Down syndrome, that are incredibly talented and natural performers.
Unreal. Like the performers, we had comedy, we had voice impressions, we had singing, we had keyboard, we had everything. It was normally whenever something has been judged, and it was being judged, but the judges were lovely. It's the contestants that are nervous. What I think in this, the contestants actually got up on the platform beside the judges and made the judges nervous.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But it was lovely, and we have some of them back this year, and we have new people this year as well. And we've added Down syndrome to this year. We were going to do a separate night, but we just didn't have enough contestants. But listen, it's the first year.
And I can only imagine, I have a fair idea because of firstly as being a parent, but also speaking to an awful lot of parents, to see your child up there, maybe confounding what others might have thought they were capable of, but to be in their comfort zone and to be included and to be cheered and applauded, it must be really lovely for mums and dads and the whole family, for that matter.
Yeah, well, there was a wee girl there last year that was doing Irish dancing, and she was only a wee taught her mummy's an Irish dance teacher. But like that, the mummy was going to go on the stage and guide her around the stage because she was only learning. But halfway round, she just sort of shoved the mummy away and took off on her own.
It was mummy got pushed to the side.
This is my stage.
This is my stage.
Exactly, yeah. All right, brilliant stuff. And it's the variety too, Sean. I love variety stuff. Listen, you know, it's nice to have little bits of different things, from music to dancing to comedy to whatever it might be. That's the great show.
That's the secret to it. I think that's why it was so successful last year, was the variety of it. Like that, it wasn't all going to be singing. It wasn't all going to be, maybe one. A lot of these talent shows, even in the mainstream talent shows, it's 99% singers.
Yeah.
An odd comedian, an odd, singing and dancing seem to be the two biggest kind of art forms that happen in these kind of competitions. But as Caroline said last year, we had everything from voice impressions to keyboards to we had singers, and we had and this year we have dancers, and we had a few dancers last year. And it's It's a good old-fashioned variety show,
And I think it's, it's a celebration of our diversity, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, as Caroline says, I facilitate in the youth theatre as well. So we work with kids on the spectrum, the SD, Down syndrome.
But I also imagine there's a fantastic. There's a process that happens there where people begin to realise their potential through arts. It's a great way, isn't it, to people express themselves and to find out what they're good at and to socialise better, communicate better. It's all obviously dependent on the individual. I'm not saying of all the children, but
and it is the thing. Arts is for everyone,
quite literally,
for
it's
everyone.
Not just and quite literally,
these like last year they proved that big time.
Yeah, I don't think there's a section that's more inclusive than the arts.
Yeah,
genuinely.
Yeah, it is.
Without it sort of some things it can seem like you're doing it because it's you do it, but arts genuinely is truly inclusive.
It is for everybody. There's no rights and wrongs.
No.
Like
there's no right and wrong. The rules are not there. It's like you're allowed to express yourself in whatever way you want.
I mean, obviously there's going to be a huge crowd there because all of the performers have their supporters and what have you. Is there any capacity for the general public? Is there tickets available still?
There are a few seats available, so but not that
it's
many.
It's short notice. It's Friday night, but give the box office a ring and see if you can go.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
they're ready and waiting.
Ready and waiting. I'd imagine so. That's what's it actually called? Autism and Down Syndrome's Got Talent. It's tonight in the Ballard. Which is what an amazing opportunity for anyone to get up onto that stage as well. Because when you go on one of those stages, be it that or Ballyshannon or Letterkenny, you're sharing that stage with the greats as well.
We have the young lady,
great yourself.
The young lady that won it last year is coming back to us this year. She's not competing, but we've brought her back as
what was her act? Or
she was a singer. Oh my God, she was a beautiful singer.
Fantastic. She's doing an Adele song tonight.
Yeah.
The way we're doing it tonight, we have the autism group are going to do their things, and then we're having an interval. Then we come back and we're having them as two separate things, and then
two parts of the show.
Exactly. And then Down syndrome, and then while the judges are away deliberating, we are going to have Alana back, who's last year's winner. We're going to have two girls, Roisin Thompson and Lucy Gillespie, we run musicals as well.
Mm-hmm.
They would be part of the musicals. And then we're having American Idiot, the show coming up.
That's
in
right.
Ballard.
Yeah, a wee taster of that.
Yeah, a wee taster of that as well. So, it's going to be we had a tech rehearsal on Saturday, and it was lovely.
Okay, what time does it kick off at tonight?
Kicks off at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, so doors at 8. There's a small number of tickets available if you want to go and see a great show tonight and get onto the Ballard box office. It is tonight, Friday, March 21st. Starts at 8 p.m. And Sean, what's your style? What are you bringing to the party here?
What am I bringing to the party?
A glittery jacket.
Well, it has to have a glittery jacket.
I have to have
nothing else, just a glittery jacket.
Just a glittery jacket.
It's one of the few nights in the theatre where I get to really dress up, so I'm going for it. Yeah, I'm going for it. Yeah.
Okay, and it's clear that you enjoy it.
I love it.
It's nice when you part of something and it's significant. It's something happens and it's different. Okay, brilliant stuff. The best of success with it. It's great that it's coming back because it could have been a one and done, but obviously the demand was there, and it's great that everyone in the theatre is giving everyone an opportunity. But these people deserve it. Hugely talented. Get along if you can. Caroline Bell, coordinator at the Ballard Development Community Arts DCA. Thank you so much for calling up to us. And Sean Lafferty, presenter of Autism and Down Syndrome's Got Talent. Do you have a walk-on song?
We have the theme music for the autism.
Music.
Great.
And Sean is.
I am being introduced by one of your colleagues.
Yeah.
Oh, which one? You've got a voiceover in now,
got a
right?
voiceover,
Do you know what?
yeah.
Listen, buy a blooming ticket and go along and see.
And you'll find out all.
I think it's going to be
Paddy McMenamin will be emceeing the Down syndrome half.
And one of your colleagues will be our judge as well. Mr. Rory Farrell will be one of our judges.
Okay, not bad a man. All right, brilliant stuff. Well done, Caroline. Well done, Sean. Good luck to everyone who's taking part tonight. I would say it's going to be more excitement than nerves to get onto that stage and perform at this stage because they're going to be really confident in their act. So the best of luck to everyone, Caroline and Sean up on stage. But thank you very much for calling in. And if you want to go along, and why wouldn't you, it's in the beautiful Ballard Arts Centre, and it's on tonight. There are a small number of tickets available. If you want to go, get onto the Ballard box office.
Find all the gifting inspiration you need to make Mum's Day at Dunnes Stores. Discover luxurious nightwear, elegant home decor, must-have beauty buys and gorgeous scented candles for the perfect self-care moment. Can't decide? Give her the gift of choice with a Dunnes Stores e-gift card. Perfect for every mum. Buy and send an e-gift card in seconds or schedule it to arrive in her inbox on Mother's Day, Sunday the 30th of March. Shop in-store or online now. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Ah, that's the sound of Calor. Of cosy movie nights in, shove over. Of the post-match get the cold out of your showers. A fry-up on a Sunday morning. It's the sound of homes running on easy, efficient energy. And right now, homes not on the gas network can get a free boiler by switching from oil to Calor gas for their home energy and heating. So every day sounds a little more like this. Nice and toasty in here. Calor, the energy that connects us. Terms and conditions apply. See calorgas.ie for details.
Want a new car? Think Kia. Call Heron Auto Donegal Town on 074 9722 555. We're excited to offer a fantastic selection of self-charge and plug-in hybrid cars, along with petrol and electric cars. With finance rates starting from an incredible 0% APR and a 7-year warranty, you can drive away today with peace of mind. Call Heron Auto to find your perfect vehicle and experience our commitment to excellence. Drive with confidence. Drive with Heron Auto Donegal Town.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So today's going to be dry and mostly cloudy up until late afternoon, early evening, where we'll see some rain spread westwards to all areas. Temperatures today, 12 to 14 degrees with light to moderate east to southeast breezes. We got a little sample, hopefully, of what our summer holds in store for us yesterday. Our weather was hazy enough. I can't read this out. Cruises are only for weds and nearly deads. Well, Fionnuala's neither of those, so we've disproved that.
I know.
Can you repeat the name of the Disney film? Now, we didn't say a film. Daredevil was the show.
Right.
I mentioned a film called A Small Favour.
Small Favour, that
That's
might be the
not
one.
on Disney.
Oh.
You can
No,
find
it's
it
on
in
Netflix.
different places, right? It's coming to Netflix. It's a cracking wee show, actually. It's a good
Yes.
film. It's got another actor in it that they're from England and they have to have that English accent. You know how you get caught up on the Arabigaras of the Irish accent?
Yeah.
But everyone from England, has to speak in either Cockney or very posh and well-to-do. But anyway, it is what it is.
You have to go on a dinner.
So hopefully we hit that. My husband and I have done 9 cruises and we've another one booked for this year. We're both in our early 40s. We started with our honeymoon in our 20s and just can't stop cruises. They're amazing. We are never the youngest on the ship. No, and we're certainly not. I think actually what we've done is disproved that, because I think some people believe that to be the case. But nowadays, maybe it might have
I
been
think it's
in the
changed,
past
yeah, it's
when
changed.
Gloria Hunniford was talking about them. Just a little bit of a
Yeah.
reference there. But nowadays, Michaela's been on cruises here. Obviously, Donal.
People bring...
Yeah, I think Donal has been on one.
I think it's been on. Although he doesn't speak about it much.
Yeah.
So
You really have to pry the
Come
information.
on, Donal.
Tell
Talk
us.
about the
Tell us.
cruises.
He loves the cruise. No, there's families, there's young children, there's all kinds of things on it, because there's stuff
You're a
for
nasty
everybody.
piece of work, Michael.
I know,
You give out
evil,
about
really.
me. You
Evil,
give about
evil.
me.
And he's a
Poor
friend of mine. Imagine what I'm
I
like about
know.
people I don't like. Oh, my God.
No, it's a good way to get around and see things that you may not necessarily see. When was I ever going to go around Cape Horn?
Never.
Yeah.
Never. And the thing is you pick another one another time and you get to see other stuff that when we were ever going to see.
yes.
Oh yeah, and like lots of different places.
There was a lady sitting in Few Mary, wasn't it, who went on a cruise to Iceland from Scotland. You weren't here either, no? She
Yeah, you can do that.
Went
Yeah.
to Scotland and was on the ferry for 16
Oh,
years.
I was here. Sorry, apologies. Yeah, Mary Lane. Yeah,
Mary Lane. And
told us that was really cool. That was really interesting.
So
Yeah.
she stopped. She went to Iceland, but where was it? They stopped.
Oh God! Don't ask me the details.
Yeah, it went to
But
Iceland.
they went to
It was
yeah.
a stop-off place.
Yeah.
Was it Greenland?
It must have been if they were going to Iceland. That's the only place I can think of that would be along the way.
Greenland, Iceland. Okay. They brought a truck with them, a Jeep, I think, as well.
Jeep, yeah, I remember that.
All right,
that
so
detail I do
Oh,
remember.
yeah. Well, there's a cruise ship that goes around and you can get on it and you live on it for a year. And you
The
can
only
live
only
permanently
question
on
I
it.
really have is it as cool and awesome as The Love Boat? Remember that show from years ago? The Love Boat.
Yeah.
Terrible,
I'm
cheesy
going to go
American
with
show.
no. But if
Terrible.
anybody's watching, and I can only recommend that they don't, Dr. Odyssey is
Oh,
on...
that's the Rob. Is
no, it's not. Dr. Odyssey is the guy that was on Dawson's Creek. That he
Joshua Jackson.
That's it.
Joshua Jackson.
He's on it and he
Yes.
plays a doctor. He's like this very famous doctor who had a bad brush with COVID and now he's living on a cruise ship. And I thought it was going to be like Love.
Is it like Royal
The Love
Pains?
Boat.
Is it Royal Pains?
Why
It's
would you frame
horrendous.
any show based around COVID? Like,
Well, it's over. As in, this is just that he had, he spent a year in hospital or whatever. So now he's decided he wants to live it up. And part of that then is that he give up kind of the high pressure work and he's on a cruise. And I thought it was going to be The Love Boat. And I was very excited because I did love a bit of The Love Boat.
It's so cheesy though.
It was so, I
So
know, but
cheesy.
that's what, I watch a lot of cheesy
I know,
TV.
yeah. I watched it
and
because
I
of
was
the guest
really
stars.
looking forward to it. And dear God, why is my only answer as to how
Did you
they
watch
know.
Royal Pains?
Yes, and I liked Royal Pains.
I loved Royal Pains.
I know, again, it was cheap. It was
So is it not?
ridiculous, like.
I was hoping it would be like Royal Pains.
Thought it was as well. No, it's anybody now. Somebody else might have watched it and liked it.
Reacher.
Yes.
How many episodes are that left?
There are, well, as of this week, there's only next week's.
Oh, brilliant! Because
One.
we are.
You're up to date, are you?
Well, 4 or 5 in. 4
Yeah,
or 5
I'm halfway
in. It's all
through,
right.
yeah.
It's very simple.
It's straightforward
It is
action.
very-
But the last
straightforward
one was
action.
very because I've been holding it. But in the last one, it basically was like watching a video game. Because every time a
Yeah.
head popped up, he shot it off.
Yeah.
and it was like,
that,
where are the guards?
But do you know,
how the guards not showed up and said to this
Oh,
guy
in
and
this
his
one
mates?
too, yeah. But I actually was
can't go
lying in
around
bed.
killing everybody.
I'll tell you actually how I think. In the last episode, he beats 3 people up in the street and
random.
He just beats them up and nothing happens. If nothing comes to it, I think, what about the guards or the police?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking in bed, trying to make sense of the plot. I was
Yes.
thinking, well, maybe he's involved with some bad guys in the area and they didn't tell us in the show, and the bad guys know. He knows he's involved with the bad guys, and then the cops just turn a blind eye because they're on the payroll. I shouldn't have to fill in the gaps on it, you know what I mean? But that's what I do.
I know the scene you're on about.
Yeah.
And the guys that were beaten up, they were sort of, I wonder, like, were they the sort of guys, because they were in the wrong, were they going to press charges? Do you know what I mean?
but people would have witnessed it. He put one of their heads through a car window.
Well, I think you're probably right. He's connected with bad people. And
The whole premise of it, that's what gets me the whole time. Because it was in the last, I was trotting along with it. But in the last one, do you remember he met up with the army buddies?
That's right.
And I mean,
Yes.
if they killed 100 people, they killed 200 people.
But I
Like,
just need to point something out to you. It's not a documentary.
yeah, you may be
No, I know.
overthinking.
This is not a
Overthinking.
flyer.
I
This is
know,
not,
but I
this is
need
not
Maybe
a fly on the
overthinking
wall.
an
no, but
action,
you need to have
an
a
action
toe.
show.
You need to have a toe into reality. You know what I mean? Just put a toe into
Yeah, I get
reality.
you.
Yeah.
And go, come on, lads, now.
I don't
Well,
know.
it
Eventually,
is-
somebody would say, now.
But it really doesn't. It really doesn't. It really doesn't try and pretend to be in reality. And normally I don't come like it is just bubblegum telly.
It is what it is, yeah.
It's such a basic plot line. I mean, there's at one point he runs to retrieve a mobile phone that he left down by the sea. Just bring not a mobile phone but a gun. Just bring the gun up closer to where you.
Oh,
might
you'd
need
hidden it, yeah. I know the bit. Yeah.
He hid it 2 miles away where
Yeah.
he could have hid it outside the back door. But anyway,
But that added a
it's
bit of
not-
tension because in the sequence he's like, "Oh, I just have to go
Yes,
to the
but it was-
bathroom,"
it was-
and then he had to run out of the
It was
house.
only place there for the
I
tension.
know, I agree with you
Yeah.
completely. So I see why they did it that way, but it was fun. Like
All
it's
right,
fun
shall
show.
we do a podcast?
We can do.
Raising Good Humans.
Raising
Sounds
Good-
heavy.
Yeah, sorry, repeat. Sorry.
Sounds heavy.
It is. It's well. I heard one episode and I was dabbling into it, and I really enjoyed this one a lot. This one was right into my wheelhouse. Obviously, I picked an episode that would be of interest to me because I went through the list. So, Dr. Eliza Pressman hosts this show, which is aimed at parents, and it's about parenting, and it's been going for several years, and obviously, if it's going for several years, it's got something to it. I went for one where her guest was a gentleman by the name of Imran Ahmed, who works with the Centre for Countering Digital Hate. And this was about social media and TikTok in particular. And so they spent the hour. It's an hour-long show, and it's very slick. It's very well done.
My
and again,
advice would be very simple. If you can teach resilience, then people are all right in social media. If they're not resilient, they shouldn't be on social media.
Oh gosh, youngsters,
because
teenagers,
it's just that is just the way. I would love it. I'd love if there were grey area, but if you're resilient and you can bat stuff off, and you can see the wood from the trees, social media is grand. If you are the type that you take stuff in, you're offended, you look at a comment and it bothers you,
then stay away from
need
it.
to stay away from it.
That is actually very good advice.
Stick with a Snapchat with your own group of friends. Don't post yourself up in social media where you can be judged. That's. I would just break it down like that. But anyway, I don't have a podcast.
Maybe you should.
Maybe you should. If only the facilities were available to you.
I'm not cutting her in on it. She's getting enough out of me.
Oh yeah, well that's true enough. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So basally, what they talked about.
Although this new post-cruise Fionnuala is wonderful.
She's so happy.
I just wonder, how long will it last?
It's lovely out there because we were outside, obviously chatting for 10 minutes, and it was a whole different vibe.
Lovely,
She's happy.
Michael.
She's happy, and it's like, what? Who is this person? Maybe this is like one of those.
Happy.
Maybe you've
You
been
are, in
replaced by some sort of pod person thing that's come back and you're dead.
Well, in fairness, I was
you've
asked
never normally
by
been this
other
nice.
people that were on the trip, am I always a positive person? And I was like,
well, you're always well,
like maybe I am.
yeah, positively annoying. There you go.
Yeah, no, I think you would be positive. Yeah.
So they looked at TikTok on this podcast.
Solution focused.
Yeah. So what was very interesting is, and I learned a lot from this. So basically, they talked at length about a lot of the stuff you mentioned, Greg. But also, what they did was they set up 4 accounts in America, Canada, Australia, and England. And they told TikTok they were a teenage girl. I think 13-year-old was the fake account that they set up. And it was all about the algorithm and what the algorithm was. And it within, they as this gentleman says, they videoed all of this. They have all this information. They were able to. So within a minute and 30 seconds, the algorithm was pushing body image. And there's a huge thing on TikTok, which I wasn't aware of. And it's anorexia, pushing it, and it's pro-an. Pro-an is this thing, pro-anorexia. What pro-ana?
Pro-ana.
Never heard of that before.
Like I get, this is not a joke, but I get all my ads constantly dad bod t-shirts. Do you know what I mean? It's whatever they think
you're interested.
Yeah. You know, and unfortunately they monetize. There's no. It's not just in the area of eating or body image. It's mental health, generally speaking. And it's not scientific, and it's really troubling because the young ones believe it to be reliable information.
Oh yeah, I mean,
they should all watch apple cider vinegar on Netflix.
But at what point are we going to sort of say we can't rely on social media companies to police our children and what they watch?
We're long past.
We have to do it. How many more exposés of crappy algorithms? We know what's going on.
We know what's going on. And
every
he talked
person
about
in the country should know. At what point do we say, right, okay, maybe they're going to lock themselves in their room for a couple of days, and we're going to have to say no.
Yeah.
You know, go and look at your young son or young daughter's TikTok and see how many of the videos have been favorited or bookmarked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, even just going into the stream and seeing what's being pushed. Again, another case. I mean, that one was just the pro
the boys as well.
Probably.
Sure.
But they were pushing it.
There's a lot of young boys.
There was also the
self.
He was talking as well about a case. There was like where a girl took her own life, and her father had looked at her feed. And it was self-harm, pro-self-harm. And it was all about the feel of the razor blade and all this kind of stuff and how it was pushing.
Okay.
So the point they were making on this podcast, which I thought was excellent, was this is what your kids are.
I know, but we should know that now.
But why are not parents not?
Because it's very hard to say no now, and people would prefer a teenage disco not to take place rather than say you can't go to that teenage disco. People prefer social media not to exist rather than saying you can't
do something about it.
Media.
Yeah, well, it was a good podcast.
And I know that because it's very challenging, as any parent would know. I don't have the solution. Listen, brilliant stuff. Raising Good Humans. It is a podcast available in all the usual places. Thank you so much for that, Michael Leddy. Lovely having you in as always.
Sure.
Great to have you back, Fionnuala. And you look fantastic, and hopefully you feel refreshed, because everyone needs a break now and again. All right, that's where we have to leave it on the 9 till noon show. We'll be back with you Monday morning at 9. But stay safe and stay tuned, because John Breslin